Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. No GMAC today, but as you just heard the voice of football say, we're back in 19 days. So not only this month, but under 20 days until we get kickoff of week 0. We'll go through a couple of those games today. August 23rd, what that day is going to look like. Some games with a little bit more intrigue, I think, than are being discussed right now. So we'll hit a few of those. Obviously, get to camp updates from around the Southeastern Conference. There is an article out at cbssports.com of them predicting who each SEC team's first loss will be, which also took me to week 1, week 2. It's kind of hard to just go week 1 because you've got some massive games week 1, but we got some massive games week 2 as well. Which of those games decide the most? So if you looked at week 1, week 2, because we know some of the huge matchups, which one decides the most? And not just for the SEC side, but in general. Which one is maybe just has the most consequences of who would drop that game early in the season? We know we get LSU Clemson. Could it be that one with the two schedules that lie in front of those teams? Could it be a game like a Virginia Tech, South Carolina, or a Syracuse, Tennessee? Because if those two teams drop that one, what that's going to mean the rest of the way through, because it's not going to have a whole lot of leeway as far as what's going to happen. Texas, Ohio State, one of those two teams may be playing their way out. Could it be an Auburn, Baylor? Those two teams trying to find their way towards maybe college football playoff berths if a lot goes right and a lot goes their way. So you look at a couple of those matchups early in the season, maybe which one would be the most decisive if that team were to drop it. Because you look at Baylor, I mean, they get SMU the next week, and that's a team that was in the playoff last year. So what does that one look like right off the bat? You go to maybe a week 3 with a Texas A&M Notre Dame. Week 2, you got a conference game in Kentucky facing off against Ole Miss. And could one of those two teams, if they were to drop that one, just not really able to overcome it? So just look at a couple of those games, maybe have conversations on which one's going to be the most decisive, where it's going to go. Camp updates as well. We'll get to a couple of those. There's some injury news around the Southeastern Conference. You don't want to see that this time of year. You don't want your guys that are going to be contributing to be a little bit dinged up, a little bit nicked up, specifically with some of the lower body stuff, just because it's hard to get reacclimated into practice and then be ready to go. And some of that depends on position, but timing, rhythm, whether that's quarterback receiver, whether that's offensive linemen playing together. That was a big deal with Oklahoma last year. So when you think about guys not necessarily operating together, Oklahoma's issues up front on the offensive line, now they had a world of problems. You had your top 2 running backs out, like 6 of your top 7 receivers that were out by the time you got to week 2. But also you look at those continuity positions. Oklahoma was practicing guys that weren't playing because the guys that were playing were the original starters that couldn't really practice. So you're kind of going back and forth with that juggling act of guys being in, guys being out. Then you try to get in the game and work different guys together. Somebody has to leave the game. Another kid that hadn't practiced with those guys, now he's in. It becomes a mess early. And some of those little bitty issues, injury-wise, are starting to creep up with a couple of teams around the SEC. Barry Traml going to be with us in 15 minutes. We'll talk to him about Oklahoma, a team that has a ton of expectations this year, a team that a lot of people are looking at saying, not only could they maybe contend for a spot in the playoff, be knocking on the door of the playoff, but maybe looking at a Southeastern Conference championship appearance as well. Could Oklahoma be that team? Want to see how things are going a little bit early. Middle of the show each week, each day, like we said, we're good before leading up to kickoff. We want to try to get news from around camps. DJ Lagway in a boot last week, out of the boot apparently this weekend in practice. Keith Niebuhr at 8 a.m. is going to join us to talk Florida. We'll get an idea of how DJ Lagway looks, maybe some around him, as Florida, another one of those teams with some expectations that could exceed what a lot of people believe they might really be this year. But that schedule's brutal. Schedule's tough. And then Jason Caldwell gives us some Auburn updates at 9, and we'll get some news after what's going on down in Auburn over the weekend. There was some injury updates. Running back seems to be a position that is just a little bit dinged up. You know, quarterback, obviously, I think it's Jackson Arnold. There's not really much debate. There's not a ton of competition, but there are others that are vying for different spots in that quarterback room. A couple guys up front on defense, apparently looking good early in Auburn camp. Alabama camp, you got quarterback competition technically happening, but I think that some of the separation's already beginning to take place because you hear Kalen DeBoer talking about some of the simple things, some of the coaching cliches. He referenced those over the weekend that are taking place, not taking place. And I think that's just an area that all the guys with experience probably going to be just a little bit ahead. DeBoer did kind of give an update on his quarterbacks, just kind of after week 1 of fall camp, how everybody has looked thus far.
Practice 1 was good. 2, the installs become more and different things, and a lot of it's still base stuff for the most part that these guys have worked on. There was a couple just missed opportunities really between receivers or skill guys and the quarterbacks. And I thought the last 2 practices, those near misses have now been, completions. And so that's what you like to see, where the plays are getting made. The plays are getting drawn up and there's execution on a high level somewhere. And either you miss the throw or sometimes it's maybe there's an offensive line, breakdown of some type, or someone just a little closer and causing a little bit of, distraction for the quarterback. But the last 2 days have really been better, and that's what you want to see.
We want to see those guys continue to grow, continue to improve. I think some of that comes with understanding, like Kalen DeBoer mentions. If it's an offensive lineman going the wrong way, if it's a back even in protection going the wrong way, he bumps the quarterback. That can throw things off. So everybody just kind of being on the same page, that's what continues to grow and improve throughout fall practice. And that becomes a little bit easier, becomes a little bit more simple for guys that have more experience. But that receiver core one at Alabama that I think we have a lot of confidence in. You look at who's going to have potential to be able to make plays. It's an offense that's going to require guys to line up in different places. They're going to move a pretty decent bit. Not always going to have an exact home on 60, 75% of the snaps. And one wide receiver, I don't know how much people were expecting him to really contend for playing time or be a part of this Alabama offense, but lost here Brooks, a little bit dinged up early in camp. Freshman wide receiver that Kalen DeBoer says probably won't be too bad.
Yeah, it won't be anything long-term or anything like that. So just be a little bit of recovery here. I don't know if it's day-to-day, but it's not going to be something that's extended.
So that's lost here Brooks, freshman wide receiver that may be continuing for a little bit of playing time. It's going to be tough to crack, though, because you've got a few guys there that we haven't seen a ton of, that I know the expectations for multiple years now have been that they're going to bust into the lineup, be able to go make plays. And then you have the guys that have already asserted themselves at receiver for Alabama. I think it could end up being a position of strength. By the time it's all said and done, it's a position group that I think Ryan Williams gets some buzz, but it's like I asked Kalen DeBoer when we visited with him at SEC Media Days. I was like, Coach, this is a top 5 player. Like, nobody's talking about him. You guys tell me, how many people nationally are you hearing reference Ryan Williams and what he could be, what he's going to be? I mean, I hear more buzz about Caden Proctor than I do Ryan Williams. Nationally, with people that are talking about different guys at different places, we hear a lot about Jeremiah Smith. We hear a lot about different quarterbacks at different places. But this is a young man that had more highlight plays than maybe anybody else returning in college football last year. You might give Jeremiah Smith the nod on that just because he had the playoff run. But during the regular season, how many more players that are coming back to college football this year made bigger plays, more big plays than he did? I mean, Dylan Stewart, possibly. There's just not a ton of guys that made the kind of plays that he did, and he's getting very little discussion, which is great for Alabama. Jeremy Bernard, we know what he can be, a guy that can work the middle of the field, a guy that can hurt you outside as well, and Isaiah Horton comes in that you feel like could be sort of that down-the-field threat, and Jalen Hale's been the guy that a lot of people think can be somebody to help stretch the field. So I think the Alabama receiving core, if you get a youngster or two that kind of steps up and says, hey, I can get in there, make some plays, I want to be a guy that contributes a little bit, gives you some extra depth there, and you don't have to get as many receivers as much run throughout the course of the season, throughout maybe 60, 70, 80 snaps a game, it's only going to benefit Alabama late. But I do think that's a position that if some of the youth can step up, take a few of the snaps away, make a couple of plays, has a chance to be one of the strengths. I think offensive line is still a bit of a concern. You just don't know exactly what it's going to be at right tackle right now. A little bit of a battle still going on there. And then I think, too, you do have some interior depth. This is going to be nice because Vandermark can play. He was the guy that gained the confidence of that group last year. Cam Dewberry, if he's in shape, I think can be a really good player. Proctor apparently has got the weight down to 355-ish. And if he can become more consistent, which, again, is another spring practice he didn't really go through. So all of the Proctor #1 pick overall, top 5 selection overall. I had a couple reporters ask me, this happens a lot. They all send me their all SEC or, their All-American preseason teams. Like, do you like this guy, this guy, this guy? All of them have Proctor the very first left tackle. I'm just like, I'm not ready to hand that over just yet. I think there's still work to be done there. I still think when you look at the consistency that he has lacked, that's got to improve if he's going to be considered to be the best left tackle in college football. I just don't know if he's there yet. I think Brailsford's the best center in college football right now. And I think it's a super deep center class in the SEC. but I would still put him at the top of it. And I'd probably put him at the top of it nationally, just because of not only what he did at Alabama last year, but what he's done his entire career at Washington and with what he was there and what he's been. I would take Brailsford over just about anybody. Hell, I would take Brailsford over a lot of players, period, to just come in and help me start my football team, taking a look at exactly what that's going to be. Tight end, not a lot of answers there yet for Alabama. I think that's still a big question mark. And I think one that if you look at how it was utilized last year, maybe you just get away from that a little bit and probably, I would say, less heavier personnel groupings for Alabama across the course of the season than what you had a year ago. Because whoever it is at tight end, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, they're not physically going to be as capable as those two were last year. Ooch and Dupree. They're not the same kind of guys. They don't have those same kind of guys. But you don't have to have that if you have the receiver depth and the running back depth that it appears as though Alabama does, because I think you got guys that are going to be able to pop there, and you might not need them as much. Defensively for Alabama, a group that we've talked a lot about, some of the first-teamers, haven't talked a ton about the depth. We've talked about that linebacker depth being extremely important the entire offseason. Kayla DeBoer also mentioned that group after 1 week of practice.
The competitiveness, guys that all want to make sure they're on the football field, and I trust them all. I really do. A lot of just high energy, high effort. They focus on playing at a high level, and great character, great personalities. A lot like what I would say in the quarterback room, where they all push each other in a healthy way. But there's some playmakers there, and they always do their job first and foremost as part of the defensive concept. Whatever it's called, and I like the way they're getting to the quarterback and really pressing those edges, and they're versatile enough they can do a lot of other things too, where you put them in spots even once in a while in coverage.
That linebacker depth is going to be key, because here's why linebacker depth, in my opinion, is more important than a lot of people want to give it credit for, or just the conversation that's going to go around it. You can sit there and say, oh, our top 2 linebackers are going to be great. We have 2 others that can maybe fill in and will be all right, so I'm not too worried about it. We know Jefferson and Lawson can play, 100%. You go get Nakai Hill-Green, who's been at Colorado, Charlotte, and Michigan, so that gives you a lot of experience. But what does almost every linebacker do, even if they're not first team, if they're second team, sometimes third team? They're going to play special teams, because kickoff cover, kickoff return, punt cover, punt return, and then different packages defensively. Those guys are going to be on the field for multiple plays in multiple special teams groups. And you don't want, especially if you're thin, all your first-team guys getting all those reps. You're running down and covering kicks 4 or 5 times a game, being on kick return 3 or 4 times a game, being on punt cover 6 or 7 times a game. It's taxing over the course of a season, specifically if it's a guy that's already getting 65, 75 snaps a game playing defense. So you've got to find a little bit of a workaround there. Now, maybe some of the depth at DB, specifically at safety, can give Alabama some edge there. And you slip a few safeties in instead of some linebackers, but you don't want to lose a backer on punt cover, kick cover, and then all of a sudden that depth is gone, and you're having to say, all right, Lawson and Jefferson already, you're got to go more snaps because we don't have anybody else that's ready. Do you put more younger guys on your special teams? And then you don't want them busting assignments and allowing a kickoff to get going. So that linebacker depth is critical, I think, more times than we discussed, because they're going to be on almost every special teams group outside of, I don't know, maybe field goal, extra point field goal. They're going to be on field goal block, field goal return, which I think a lot of groups have now. So there's going to be a lot of snaps that they're going to be in games playing that you don't want all your starters to have to take all those. A lot of starters want to play teams because they know that's what they're taking into the NFL. But you just don't want to burn all those reps with all those guys to have them being dinged up and have that wear and tear affecting them across the course of the season. I haven't heard a lot of coaches talk about that with how they're managing their special teams, if they're doing it any differently, because going into last year with 12-team playoff, there are a lot of coaches that admitted straight up, we're playing this different. More younger guys are going to play early. Our second, third team guys are going to get more reps in games when the snaps are more meaningful than maybe we did before. Whereas the previous years it was, okay, we're up 3 touchdowns. We're midway through the second half. All right, now they can go. Now they can get in and get some snaps. Doesn't really operate that way for a lot of coaches anymore. How do they alter things on special teams? I haven't heard a lot of conversation around that, but would be interesting to hear exactly how they're going to play that out and exactly how that's going to get going. So a little bit of update there from Alabama. You'll hear from Hugh Freeze later this hour. Also get some injury news from around the Southeastern Conference. We got that coming today. We got NFL this week, Thursday. You've got 3 preseason games, and we're under 20 days till kickoff. We're going to look at that week 0 slate and see what might be sneaking in. It's a little bit of a sleepy game that we need to be paying closer attention to. Before we get to any of that, I'll tell you about my friends Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis Group. If you're looking to get into a new home in Birmingham, you got to call 205-542-1996. 205-542-1996 or Google the Gusty Goulis Group today. If you do, you're going to see over 850 5-star Google reviews. Now, most agents are going to start marketing after you list with them. Gusty, he markets long before meeting a potential seller. That's why he's got buyers lined up as soon as he gets home. Gusty invests thousands of dollars in the latest group, serving more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. And since 2012, the Gusty Goulis Group has been recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Alabama's sold. So there's no reason not to call the Gusty Goulis Group today. 205-542-1996 and start packing. Barry Traml updates us on everything new next right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday, August 4th, 7:20 right here on Jox. Listen online, joxfm.com. App is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can that'll also direct you to YouTube. Be able to watch the show live each and every morning. Barry Traml covers the Oklahoma Sooners and a team that I would say leading up to me and since maybe more buzz. Barry, a lot of people hopping on this train that Oklahoma on it, but a lot of new pieces have to sort of fit together. What's the early vibe as just how a lot of these newcomers into this lineup are sort of meshing early in practice for Brent Venables?
Well, I think you're right. I think there is a spirit of optimism, just belief that they got through the desert last season with just the horrible offense, one of the worst in Oklahoma history, in the history of great offenses. And it wasn't a word. Was I do think things are going to the offense talking do some run on material decisions.
Where that was actually a couple games with guys that had been. Where's the depth?
It's a little bit by Suchi was. I mean, he's play a bunch. If you're building a great offensive line, so I think the Sooners are deeper, but the talent level isn't what Oklahoma's accustomed to, and that's going to be something that'll be tested early because Michigan's here in Norman on September 6th. This is not a schedule you can sort of ease into, and then Auburn a couple of weeks after that. So big September test for Oklahoma.
Barry Traml with us on the Higginbotham Hotline talking Oklahoma Sooners, and a guy that I have really made no secret, Barry, that I expect to have a monster season is Dion Burks. A little bit banged up last year. If you go back to his time at Purdue, even if you go back to the Oklahoma spring game 2 years ago, the capability is exceptional. How does it appear as though he's going to fit in, and how much do they want to lean on him through this new offense, do you believe?
Well, I think I agree. I think he is headed for a big year if he can stay healthy. Yeah, he was not one of these guys that was just hurt and missed the rest of the year. He was hurt and came back hurt, again. So it was a sort of a chronic situation with Dion Burks. He ended up playing in 5 games and 31 catches. Looked good early. He sort of looked pretty sluggish upon his return. But he's a guy they do need out of the slot, little guy across the middle, get him in space type plays. And the Sooner wide receiver core was decimated last year. Who knows how they've replenished it? They brought in several transfers that looks the part. Maybe he can do it, but we'll have to see. That was a problem again last year in what was just a totally confounding season of continual injuries. But when you're looking at an Oklahoma team trying to rebuild an offense, and 2 of the 4 primary position groups are just somewhat unknown, somewhat unproven, that's not what Oklahoma's accustomed to, and that's not necessarily the way to have an elite SEC offense.
No, I agree, but some of the pieces that are coming in have been proven other places, and maybe that is enough to be able to get that group where it needs to be. On the flip side, I think somebody took a quote of mine from a show that I did saying that I thought Oklahoma's defensive line was by far the best in the SEC, and I think it was a lot of Texas fans got a hold of it because my mentions were flooded this weekend with how dumb that was and how people didn't like that and how I didn't know what I was talking about. Where does that defensive line look like it's going to be so far through camp compared to maybe where I placed it, and that was as the best in the Southeastern Conference?
Well, I mean, the rationals up here believe or hope that OU has one of the 2 best. I mean, Texas does have a tremendous defensive line, but if you're in the top two, I don't think the Sooners will gripe too much about that either way. It is remarkable. I mean, when Oklahoma was announced for the SEC, it's been 4 years now. The hope, the question was, are they SEC ready? Are they SEC ready? Are they SEC ready? And that always was inferred, are they defensively SEC ready? Well, it turns out the answer was yes all along. It's the danged offense that can't get going. And when you talked about defensive readiness, you really meant defensive line. And now the Sooners get to the SEC, and they had a tremendous defensive line. In year two, they've got people from Alabama saying they've got the best defensive line. So it's a source of pride that not only do they have excellent defensive line, but a lot of depth. They got they're pretty much too deep along the defensive line, and really good linebacker crew. They've got the sort of the king of the state of Alabama, and Kip Lewis, ran pick sixes against both Bama and Auburn last year. So this is a defense that seems ready to thrive. But things could always change. But right now, that defensive unit, Demonic Williams playing nose guard, and Jaden Jackson, a young guy who's really good, and R. Mason Thomas was all SEC, I think third team, last year, and on the edge. So they've got tremendous talent and depth, and at the place that was the biggest question mark when this whole thing started. So it's been a confounding entrance into the NCAA, into the SEC, I'd say.
I don't think there's any doubt. Barry Traml with us talking Oklahoma football. There is one guy up front, though, that I'm interested in defensively. It's Marvin Jones Jr. Physically, he doesn't really seem to fit the exact bill of what Venables has been lately. But if you go back to his days at Clemson, he is much more of that four-down, prototypical, bigger 4-3 defensive end, even if you wanted to go a lighter 4-2 defensive end. Whereas you look at the R. Mason Thomas and some of the others that have been there recently, more of the quicker, sleeker edge defenders. How have they sort of seen where Marvin Jones may fit in, may be for this defense? Because he's got some great tape on there during his days at Georgia and Florida State, but it's inconsistent tape. How do you expect him to fit in this year?
Well, one thing Brent Venables loves is he loves trying new things, and he loves multiple defenses, and he loves giving you looks you haven't seen. And a guy like Marvin Jones allows you to sort of monkey with your defense without necessarily monkeying with the alignment, if you know what I mean. It's as you mentioned, he's a little bit of a different kind of player. You can play a 4-3, well, but if Marvin Jones is in the game, it's a different look of a 4-3. It's a different production of a 4-3. So Brent Venables loves to confuse quarterbacks. And when you have different kinds of players, different hybrids of players, you can line people up in the same ways, and they're doing different things. So this is right up Brent Venables' alley. He's a little bit like the original Bat. If you remember the 1989 Batman, when Jack Nicholson as Joker says, "Where does he get all those wonderful toys?" Well, that's the way. That's the way Brent Venables sees all these defensive guys that can do different things. So Venables, for all his shortcomings so far as a head coach, has no shortcomings as a defensive coordinator. And the collection of talent that he's produced or has brought in has just been transformative. And Marvin Jones is a very good example. When they go to the portal, the defensive guys that come in are generally really good players. So I expect Marvin Jones to be very, very impactful.
Okay.
Fairly immediately.
There you go.
Fairly immediately.
Well, Barry, we appreciate it. Always great catching up with you. I love talking Oklahoma football with you. You mentioned that Michigan game, and I just went through some of the early games in the SEC of which will be the most definitive, decide the most, and not just for the SEC team, but for both. Would that be at the top of the list for you? Because I do think when you look at those two teams, there are people that think they can succeed. There are people that think it could be a mediocre year. Does that game then become bigger than some of the others we're going to see, like Ohio State, Texas, or Clemson, LSU?
Yeah, I mean, the loser of OU Michigan goes away feeling fairly despondent, right? I mean, Clemson, LSU, the loser's going to be disappointed, but I don't think anybody comes away thinking, oh, we don't have a good team. Oh, this is going to be a disastrous year. But the loser of OU Michigan is sort of set back pretty significantly. If it's Oklahoma, you lost at home. You're trying to come back from a disastrous season, and you lose to a team with a true freshman quarterback that is not coached by Jim Harbaugh. And if you can't beat Michigan, how are you going to beat the big dogs of the SEC? And if you're Michigan, you think we lost to a team that really has lost its offensive identity, a team that went 6-7 a year ago. This is not good. So I do think it's a massive game for both of those teams. I know it is for Oklahoma. I have to believe it is for Michigan, but it's still the kind of game we need to see. It's the kind of game we need to be playing. To see those Michigan helmets on Owen Field for the first time. That's what college football should be all about.
Very great stuff. Appreciate the time. It's always fun catching up with you. Appreciate you hopping on. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, Colt.
Yes, sir. There you go. Barry Traml covers the Oklahoma Sooners, hopping on the Higginbotham hotline and giving us an update on kind of where that team is. It's one that the expectations are just kind of growing. But when you look at what's been added, it's a huge surprise because there are guys that can make plays and guys that can make a difference. Jaden Ott at running back. We mentioned John Mateer at quarterback, obviously coming in with his offensive coordinator. You bring in a couple of new tight ends. You bring in Giovanni Gibson at wide receiver, Marvin Jones over there at defensive end. There's reasons to be excited, but if the offensive line doesn't get going, none of it really will. And if some of the positions that were great the last couple of years, linebacker, safety that are gone from a year ago, you may struggle there a little bit as well. But I think that defensive line is going to help us in Norman. And I understand the Texas fans didn't like that. I'll go in a little bit further on why I would place Oklahoma's ahead of Texas's right now, speaking of defensive lines. That I want to bring John Saber in on the other side. That is coming soon, and I need to know why. Not necessarily why it's coming, but how it's coming. We'll discuss that next on All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday, August 4th, right here on WJOX. Talking a little bit before we move back in around the SEC. But one thing Barry Traml brought up, if you missed it, he slid it in there just momentarily, making a Batman reference as to toys, different weapons. And in the 1992 Batman, maybe one of the best characters in any Batman movie, Jack Nicholson as the Joker, references, where does he get all those wonderful toys? I was going to bring this up a while back, and when I first saw it, I didn't bring it up on the show. But, John, Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns, which original Batman, yes. Batman Returns, kind of meh. DeVito's Penguin was great.
Correct.
They're both coming back to theaters for one night on August 25th. Why? You want to bring them back, it's fine. If you want to say, hey, we've upgraded these to, 7K and we've CGI'd some new things in, whatever. Why one night and both on one night?
I don't know. It doesn't feel like a landmark anniversary. If anything, either 89 or 92, that should have happened maybe last year when you had that landmark anniversary for Batman, but it just feels almost now more of a, why not? You got Superman and Fantastic Four in theaters. Why not bring back Batman?
160 Dolby Cinemas at AMC Theaters for one night on August 25th. They'll both feature Dolby Vision Picture and immersive Dolby Atmos sound. Okay.
Mm-hmm. With or without the
We're all
glasses or whatnot.
All going to be able to tell the difference there. Can you imagine the people walking out of that one? God, if they didn't have that Dolby sound. I just don't know what that would have done.
I'll tell you what made it that Atmos.
I mean, just a totally different experience with Dolby Vision from 1992. I just, it's the one night thing that gets me. I don't really understand. You're kind of making people choose. Like, there's not a lot of folks I feel like they can go to a movie doubleheader.
That's asking a lot.
You got to start pretty early or you're going to go pretty late. Just felt like an odd deal to go. By the way, that's a Monday night.
Whew. So Raw fans are going to have to make a choice. Especially now that Brock Lesnar's back. Whew.
I did see some of that on social media last night. I didn't have a chance to. What was our pay-per-view? Was it SummerSlam?
SummerSlam, yeah.
I guess it's that time of year. All right. So, I didn't really understand why you would bring both back on one night and why now looking at the day, why a Monday night. That feels even weirder to do it on that night. Is the 92 Batman Returns the best of the Batman films that have been made? I think I can easily give you the worst.
Well, yeah, Batman and Robin.
I was going to go Batman versus Superman.
Okay, yeah. Of all of them?
That's super dumb. It's really dumb. Because you get to a point when they're going at each other at the end, when you're like
3 hours into the movie when they're finally fighting?
But you're kind of like, Batman could have never held up against this. Like some of the things that Superman does, and you're watching it thinking, well, if you just did that 3 more times, this thing would have been over a while ago.
Batman had to run the triple option, okay?
You kept letting him get back in it. They were basically Jamie Howard at Auburn in like 88 or whatever it was. They were up 30 and just kept throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Like Superman just kept throwing the ball. Like, hey, man, hand the ball off and you're done here. This game's over. I don't know. It didn't feel like much of a competition, but he let him slip back in. That movie was awful. What's the best Batman movie in your mind?
Depending on the day, either that first Batman with Keaton or The Dark Knight. Catch me on whichever day. It could be either or. Right now, I'd probably say Batman 89, but...
That Batmobile's the worst, though.
Which one? The
89, yeah. It looks cool, but it's you can look at it and the functionalities.
It was not worse than Clooney's. Simple. That was a drop or open top, an open face Batmobile.
Yeah, that's fair. Some of these are so bad we forget about them. But the Heath Ledger is the Joker. Batman's the best, if not 92.
Yeah,
I'd probably lean that one.
Yeah,
it just felt a little bit more entertaining. But Michael Keaton better than I thought he was going to be originally.
probably. Yeah, I think the whole world. Yeah, You're telling me Beetlejuice is going to be Batman? Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That guy?
Is Michael Keaton one of those underrated actors? Like, what's his best film? Because he's one of those dudes that's like, kind of like Rod Stewart, where you're like, yeah, he was pretty good. But then you start looking at everything they did, and you're like, wow, hold on a second.
Wait, yeah.
Like that guy's a lot better than I remembered him being in. What was his best film? Was it Beetlejuice?
Probably Batman.
Batman Returns?
Not Mr. Mom.
Jack Frost.
Oh, hold on now. Now we're entering the conversation.
Herbie Fully Loaded. Toy Story 3? See, it's like he's been in a ton of stuff, but not. I guess I was right. He hasn't been in a ton of great stuff.
He was really good in the recent Spider-Man one. He played such a good villain.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, he's
in 2019 Dumbo.
Okay, well. Look, not every run is a first down, okay? Sometimes it's just 3 yards.
Wait a minute. He played the Flash in a Batman movie in 23?
No, he was in the Flash.
He played Batman in the Flash,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Was he supposed to be like old?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that. Hadn't seen the tape yet on that one.
Don't.
Was he more did he do better stuff in TV early on?
No, I don't think so.
So basically you're saying he's overrated.
I didn't say anything.
I'm just
You're
asking.
the one I say, is he one of those underrated guys? Properly rated.
Yeah, I think now that I look through it, I would say properly. Like, get some credit and has been in a couple of good things.
A couple of really, really great hits, but there's no one album that's like, okay, yeah. Each album has like one hit.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. When we come back, interesting poll question results on Oklahoma, what they're going to be this year. And we'll continue going around the SEC with some injury news next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Monday, August 4th, 739 WJOX. Get you on the Higginbotham hotline. Also, text in 205-834-9450. Going back to our previous segment, I'll ask this question because I don't know if this is as big of a deal as it used to be. You would say, okay, back in theaters, I'm going to go see it. I don't know if that experience is that important to as many people or if there's just a movie that you really feel is that different in that setting that you would say, yep, I'm back. I'll go. An old movie that would bring you back. You can tweet in at Mac and Cube as well. You said we got a call in for a Michael Keaton reference earlier?
Yeah, there's a show that came out on, I want to say Hulu 3, 4, 6, 7 years ago called Dopick. A gentleman recommended that. It was about the opioid crisis. Keaton's in that and apparently good, so
okay,
add it to the list.
I will check that out. There was an opioid documentary on Netflix I can't remember the name of that was incredible. It was based in New Orleans. I don't know the name. I can't remember the name of it, but if you can find it, it's worth a watch. It's really good. It's kind of like a docuseries, sort of. But, John, you're the movie buff here on the show. Is there a movie that if it was in theaters again, you would say, yeah, I'm back. I have to go see it there?
There have been some that they've re-released that I've gone to see, mostly because I've seen them before several times, but never actually saw it in the theater. Like Clue came back out, and I was like, you know what? I really like Clue, but I never saw it in theater. So I'm like, I'll go watch it in the theater. But it wasn't I have to go see it. I was like, oh, you know what? Okay, fine. I went and did it because I was free that afternoon, but I didn't make plans. So I was like, oh, yes, I've definitely got to, because I feel like as much as I love the theater experience, it's the home experience is not that much different now for some people. So I get why, like, you know what? I just find I'd rather stay home. Like my lady, there are a lot of times like, oh, hey, I want to see that movie. Hey, it comes out this weekend. I can wait till we get home. Well, so you don't want to see it then.
Okay. So what's a movie that if it was back in theaters, you'd have to go see it? Mine would be 2.
Besides, well, one Predator and
is number
else?
1.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Just give me the smallest like CGI digital upgrades, like they did Star Wars when they brought it back, and there was like 3 scenes that they made a little bit better, but yes, they told you the whole thing was like digitally enhanced. Just give me a little bit of that. I'm back, and I would see that, and then the program. Also, I'll go back and see that.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Not that the theater really does anything to make it any better, but just it would be fun to watch in the theater again. I guess maybe. I don't know.
I think I would like to now. I think you need a crowd for it, but go and watch something like Old School or Wedding Crashers. But the theater's got to be like half to 3/4 full. Because going to watch that, but a lot of times when I go see movies like after work, they're like maybe 5, 6, 7 people in there, which is kind of nice because ain't nobody on their phone or talking. But also, if you go to see like an event movie like that where it's fun and laughter, you want people there.
No, I guess that part does. What was it like the Minecraft movie recently?
Yeah,
I don't even know what they were doing, throwing stuffed animals around or something, and everybody's losing their minds.
Some crap, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
Well, I think WNBA games have been a bit much, but I mean that's just fun what they're doing in the theaters. Yeah. But I mean, but some people said it was too much, like they were having too much fun, and they didn't want to be in there with them. I don't know. Roger Patrick Myers tweets in The Night Shift, gold for Michael Keaton, great actor. We didn't say he was a bad actor, just that I think sometimes when his name is mentioned, he comes across as in the maybe George Clooney, Denzel Washington category, and not necessarily there.
Doesn't have the catalog to. He has some heavy hitters. Don't get us wrong. But when you actually look at like everything that he's done, comparing to some of the heavy hitters, like oh, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't. Who do you consider the greatest male actor of all time?
Oh, I should say Denzel, but I think it's Leo.
Is Jack Nicholson close?
Yeah.
I feel like he covered a further gambit of characters than any of those guys did. You will hate me for saying this, but one, I think Clooney's kind of typecast. And I also think Denzel recently has become typecast, where he's just the same guy.
More or less,
in different settings. Okay.
But he got to that point.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Listen,
but
I'm not saying not great.
Once you got there, all right, cool. Yeah, I ain't got to do nothing else.
Okay.
And let's be honest, Jack in his later years kind of got typecast too. Was just
it was kind of old, hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, kind of half insane guy. Shane Smith tweets in Free Solo, that's the mountain climbing like documentary, something, I think. Not the Solo movie.
Oh, no.
Nobody needs that one back, I don't think.
Disney just wrote it off.
Chun tweets in Tombstone. Justin Paul Sports tweets in Back to the Future in IMAX. That might be pretty sweet.
That could be fun.
Matthew tweets in Lord of the Rings, Alien or Aliens, Terminator 1 and 2. Only 2, by the way.
I think I go back for 2. Yeah.
Only 2.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong here, I feel like Terminator 2 was the first action movie that kind of really pushed the emphasis on needing to see it in the theaters. Just because it was so, people will forget these things, but it was so different at its time than maybe anything else that had been made.
The CGI from 1991, I want to say, holds up. Not only holds up today, but it's still better than, I'd say, half of what's being put out now.
I mean, the Liquid Terminator was insane.
Yeah.
I was like, how could they even make this? 1991, you're right. And I agree with you. It's not only holds up, but it's better than a lot of stuff that we see today.
The best looking one, when right before Sarah Connor breaks out, like the T-1000's like the checkerboard floor, and he like kind of rises up. That looked real.
Birmingham Sports tweets in National Treasure. Zach tweets in Interstellar, but in IMAX.
I'm going to like that more lately.
That Old Smoky, some interesting choices here. Snatch, Judge Dredd.
Well, which one?
The Stallone version.
Okay.
Aliens, Terminator 2, Independence Day. That's become like kind of one of those movies that has its own like cult following now. I'm not 100% mad at it. There are just a couple of parts that I can do without. The Matrix, which I think is kind of made for that. And then Predator 1 and 2. You can have 2 because it was terrible. But 1, absolutely.
You'll pay for the double feature. Just leave after the first one.
Yeah. Tony tweets in Top Gun and Armageddon.
Okay. You have a type.
Yeah, I don't. Armageddon was pretty. Some of the action scenes were pretty good.
They were, yeah.
But the whole thing, no. Don't know if that would have.
That director knows how to make spectacle.
Of course.
The problem is movies aren't all spectacle.
No, but if it's, I think that's one that people would look at and say for theaters that needs to be that.
Yes,
like that's where we need to be for that one.
Which is why Top Gun Maverick did so well, because they had that spectacle and everyone was coming out of COVID. It's like, oh, I'll go back to theater and see that, and got blown away.
Aaron Hubbard tweets in, too young to have seen Lord of the Rings trilogy in theaters, but would love to see it now. And then he also tweets in, is Denzel or Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks kind of covered some ground with characters.
Speaking of typecast, he was a bad guy once. And no one liked it.
Rez tweets in, Keaton's in HBO Live from Baghdad. Haven't seen the tape, so maybe that'll be one. All right, we leave movies. We get back to SEC football. Keith Niebuhr going to join us on the other side, discuss DJ Lagway not in a boot. And what does that Florida football team look like around him as they try to make a push to be that team that exceeds expectations this year in the SEC? That and more next right here on Our movie conversation, John, reminds me of something that we need to discuss after we have Keith Niebuhr on the show, and that's mind-numbing that you weren't aware of. My wife gave me one of those this weekend. That it was a statement that she made that a lot of folks are still chiming in with their movie takes and kind of what they want and what they need to see. Bailey Rogers says, I went and saw Jaws in theaters on 4th of July weekend. It rocked. Did it?
I could see that.
Did it, though? I mean, it's a classic, but
Also,
that's not one with the
it's tough if you're 30 or under to be like, y'all are scared of this.
I can imagine 1978, you're watching that thinking, yep, never going in the water again.
Correct.
Might go in the shallow end of the kiddie pool.
Right.
But not now. We're good.
It can be tough, yeah.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Keith Niebuhr. He covers the Florida Gators. Keith, in theaters, you would definitively have to go see it today?
Yeah, I'm always been partial, and I've watched it on video many times or on TV. All Newsbury. At late, there was no movie. That movie interview the future Petersburg Times. I would love to see 19 and you know it's just my number one.
In the versatility, find his work at Gator and
but his mechanics look to be better, and I that was backed up by talking to some of the sources that we have that are in his camp, people that know about his training during the off season, and so he looked really good, to be honest with you. I think there's some real optimism.
Was Bill Parcells secretly like quarterback whisperer guy? Is he like quarterback fundamentals guy?
That was the first name that popped into my head.
So I was like, I thought Parcells defense guy. I didn't know he got credit for kind of tutoring the quarterbacks.
Probably had to. He had to scout the quarterbacks, I guess. Is how
there you go.
Spin that, I suppose.
Fair.
But no. But
all right, Keith Niebuhr joining us on the Higginbotham hotline, talking Florida Gators. Around DJ, I think the receiver core could be good. I love the running back room. I've made it very clear what I think of Jaden Baugh. The offensive line should be better. Are all signs pointing to all those things kind of happening, taking place so far through fall camp?
They are. I mean, I watched all your breakdowns this summer, Cole, and they were excellent. The offensive line, obviously 4 starters back. 2 of the guys, Jake Slaughter, your center, and then your left tackle, Austin Barber, were preseason all-SEC picks. You had 2 other returning guys, one being Damian George, who's been through those battles weekend after weekend. And then so your right tackle spot was open, and you're replacing Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon with a kid named Bryce Lovett, who, as a redshirt freshman last year, was freshman all-SEC. So they feel good there, not just with the 5, but maybe with 2, 3, even 4 guys behind them. And that's a big change from a year ago. That was maybe the single biggest question mark going into last season, the offensive line. And, you look at the offensive numbers, and they weren't overwhelming. They weren't stunningly good last year, but they got better throughout the course of the season. And they also had some changes at the quarterback position. Starter goes down a couple times. DJ Lagway went down. He was a freshman even when he played. But overall, they were really pleased coming out of that season with the offensive line, and they're happy with where they're at right now and the depth they've been able to develop. The running back room looks fantastic. I know you love Baugh, and he just looks like a different kind of dude out there. You know what I mean? Like, I remember covering Eric Rhett in the early 90s, and he looked different than a lot of the other running backs. And that's how this guy looks. His lower body, that stout power base, is just different. And then they also said last week, the strength coach, Tyler Miles, that he's the strongest kid on the team, the entire team, pound for pound, and maybe the strongest kid they've had in the program during Billy Napier's now entering his 4th season there. And so he's just kind of that physical freak. They've got some backups. They all look good. They just look good physically. They can run. A lot of these guys can run and catch. Kanan Daniels goes by KD. He's a guy that probably a lot of the fans that don't follow Florida have heard from. He was a true freshman last year. They didn't really need him. He is now battling for the number 3 spot behind Ball and then a kid named Jacoby Jackson. Katie Daniels has a lot of ability. He can catch the ball out of the backfield also. They've got a freshman named Duke Clark who can catch the ball out of the backfield, was running 10.7 in the 100 meters in high school. And I wonder if they're going to utilize those guys in the passing game now. I don't know that they will or they won't. When you look back to the great running back rooms in Florida history, Cole, this might be before your time, but in the mid-'80s, they actually had, or early 80s, they had 4 guys that were first-round draft picks in the same backfield at once. And they did throw to those guys a lot, 2 of them being Neil Anderson, who ended up being a great for the Bears, replacing Walter Payton, and then John L. Williams, who was an outstanding fullback. They utilized those guys in the passing game. They have a lot of running backs right now that can catch the ball. And then the receivers, I think the big question mark with the receivers, Cole, is that a lot of the guys, there's ability there, but some of them haven't really done it yet. Obviously, the true freshmen, they just got there. But a guy like Aiden Mizell has shown flashes, but can he be more consistent on Saturdays? J. Michael Sturtevant was the big offseason pickup for Florida. UCLA transfer, 6'3", 200-plus pounds. Can run pretty fast, a deep ball guy. And remember, DJ Lagway was one of the better deep ball passers in college football last year. So they hope those two can build a connection. However, there's question marks with him. 66 catches as a freshman at Cal. The numbers diminished each of the last 2 years at UCLA. Now, he was hurt in there at times, but the numbers sort of went down. So they're trying to figure out, why did that happen and how do we get him back to that super productivity that he had as a true freshman. But overall, Eugene Wilson is back healthy after, an outstanding true freshman season, and then had to take a medical red shirt last year after getting hurt early in the year. So they've got all these pieces, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, 2 exciting true freshmen, but a lot of those receivers, they got to go out and do it. And then the big question mark to me with Lagway, and talked to Chris Doring about this at SEC Media Days, isn't so much these injuries, because, they keep saying that, he's going to be fine with that. It's the lost time throwing to the receivers. Now, again, that's something you guys would know more about than me having played, but that was a real concern for Chris. So he's got DJ Lagway being that he has to develop some chemistry with these guys in a short period of time because he didn't really throw to them a lot the last 6-7 months.
Not the Emmitt Smith or Fred Taylor reference, but the Eric Rhett and long-forgotten Neil Anderson reference for Florida running backs of yesteryear today by Keith Niebuhr. Very well done there. On defensive line, I have full confidence in. I feel fine with the linebacking core. Secondary is a big question. Is the D-line just going to be good enough to offset it, or does that group just really need to catch up and find their way if this defense is going to be one that helps Florida be a better team than a lot of people are imagining?
I think the defensive line having some of the dudes that they have, Tariq Sapp playing one edge position, had 7 sacks, led the team last year. He's back. George Gums plays the other edge position, the jack linebacker, they call it. He's back. He had 5 sacks last year. And then they've got some young guys at that pass rush edge spot. LJ McCray in his second year, and the kid that's really turning heads is this true freshman, Jaden Woods, who they flipped from Penn State late last cycle, okay? Didn't do many interviews. It just sort of happened out of the blue. He was a major, major target for them. And already in the spring and then now, Cole, this guy is working with the first team at times as a true freshman at a position where you've got other guys that are probably going to be in the NFL, and I speak of LJ McCray and George Gums, a true freshman already out there getting a lot of first-team reps. So if they can get pressure on the quarterback, and maybe they can get it inside too. Because Caleb Banks, who I know you've talked up a lot, had after a big finish to the end of last season where I think he had 2.5 sacks against either Ole Miss or LSU in one of those games, which, you don't really see that too much from those inside guys. If he can continue to advance forward and continue to develop, put pressure from the middle, then you're getting pressure from the edges. I mean, Tariq Sapp says his goal was to break the school record of 13 sacks set by the great Alex Brown in 1999. That's going to be tough, but if he gets anywhere near that, and then your other edges can give you one of those years where they're just consistently making life uncomfortable for the quarterback, then yes, that was a long-winded answer to get to what you were asking. But if they can get some kind of consistent pressure, which really, they had 39 sacks last year, which was 11th in the country. I want to say the season before that, they only had 22 or 23. So that was a significant improvement. And that was the difference. That was the difference down the stretch, Cole. They were getting off the field on third down. When you looked at the overall defensive statistics, they weren't anything glorious. They weren't anything special. They didn't jump off the page, but they got off the field on third down better. They created turnovers, which is something they hadn't done in recent years. So if they can continue to do that and it all starts up front, it'll make the life a little bit easier in the secondary. But they've got some real depth concerns back there. They do. There's no question about it. A couple of true freshmen, Drake Stubbs and Lagonza Hayward, are battling for playing time at safety. I mean, they're really good players, but, you love to play true freshmen. You don't love to play true freshmen. I mean, you know what I mean? It works both ways. So there's some concerns back there. They're trying to develop depth and making sure guys are healthy. Some guys are coming back from injury. So, yes. Did that answer that, Cole? I did a big circle there. Okay.
It's fantastic. Is there a guy, maybe a transfer in, a freshman that you haven't mentioned that so far turned in heads that you've had to sort of reevaluate and say, okay, maybe this kid will contribute this year. Maybe this guy will be someone that Billy Napier and his staff are leaning on at certain points of this season?
They didn't bring in a ton of transfers. I mean, I think the punter, Tommy Doman, is going to be key because, nobody wants to talk about punters, but they had Jeremy Crawshaw last year, who was outstanding and ended up getting drafted. So they've got Tommy Doman coming from Michigan, and they believe he's a real dude. So they're all set at special teams. I would say one freshman that we haven't talked about that could potentially make a significant impact is a guy named, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. This is a tough position. Jeremiah McLeod at the end position along the defensive line. A freshman from Lee County, Georgia, great program in Leesburg, Georgia. Came in, had an outstanding spring. Some other guys were hurt, and that allowed him to get a lot of first, second team type reps in the spring, and he's kind of an animal. But again, that's such a physically demanding and grueling spot that, you always wonder, okay, a guy did something in the spring, a guy did something in the fall camp, but how many reps can he give you against LSU and some of those physical teams in the SEC? But I would say maybe a guy like Jeremiah McLeod, and also Dallas Wilson's getting a lot of talk at receiver, but don't forget about Vernell Brown III. He's still, look, he was a 5-star recruit, so nobody's forgetting about him. But, he's not getting the attention that Dallas Wilson's getting. But this is a guy that is just a polished route runner, excellent hands, maybe the smartest guy on the team. And also, he can contribute on special teams. He's an elite punt returner in high school with several kicks for touchdowns. He's fast, and he's just he's kind of got that it factor, so maybe keep an eye on him as well.
There you go. Keith Niebuhr covers the Florida Gators for the On3 Sports Network. Great stuff, Keith. Really appreciate the time. We'll do it again soon.
All right. Thanks, Cole. Take care, everybody.
There you go. Keith Niebuhr hopping on the Higginbotham hotline to talk Florida Gators. That first answer, second answer. Second answer, he kind of referenced that the last answer that one took a while to get to. That second answer may have been the longest in the history of the show. I'm not sure we've had an individual answer go that long. It had to be over 3 minutes. We'll give you the exact time on it next, right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It is 8:18 here on Jox. You can listen online, joxfm.com. The app is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Always tune in to us. The longest answer in the show's history, John, where would, well, we're not going to know exactly where that answer would reference because you haven't measured all the others. But when discussing Keith's recent interview, that second answer, I'm going to need a timestamp on that one, exactly what it was.
Well, once you finished asking the question, his answer began 4 minutes and 31 seconds into the interview. And then it ended 8 minutes and 43 seconds into the interview for a grand total of 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Just the answer.
So the second answer was almost 4.5 minutes.
Almost about 30% of the whole interview was that one.
On 4 questions?
5 if you count the Bad News Bear thing at the beginning, which he went kind of quick.
Well, for his standards, he went kind of quick. I think for normal standards, that would actually have been just a fair answer. All right, so appreciate Keith stopping by. Great information on Florida, though, kind of what they will be. It doesn't sound like this Lagway lower extremity injury is one we need to be concerned about, one that's going to be ongoing. But as Greg stated last week, you do have to get a little bit concerned about the reoccurring issue here of just these minor injuries that are keeping him out of things, keeping him out of games, keeping him out of practices. That can't continue when you're the quarterback. You got to be on the field. You got to be healthy. You got to have that consistency. A couple other movies are coming in, though. Apocalypse Now, JB tweets in. These are movies that we asked if they were back in theaters, you'd have to go see it. More college football tweets in. Friday Night Lights. I'll go program first. Bryant Roberts, Goonies, The Fugitive, Hunt for Red October, Shawshank, LA Confidential, A Simple Plan, and Jaws. XPX 1919 tweets in Shaft.
Which one? They're like
that's all he says.
Okay.
Lori Lou tweets in because I did see it in theaters and it was awesome. Matrix, Kill Bill, The Life Aquatic, 300, Independence Day. Because I missed it in theaters, Jurassic Park, Fight Club, Baby Driver, and Friday Night Lights. Scott Amos says Dirty Harry. Bama Beach Bum says the original Twister. Jody also tweets in 300. I do believe that you're not going to win a lot of cinematic value points for that one, but I do believe that was one that's kind of made for theaters. It's not the best movie per se. Okay. So 300, actually, Rocky Toperico tweeting that one as well. A lot of people are going that direction. So there you go. All right. I told you I would give you something that I could not believe that my wife said over the weekend. I tried to schedule a date night, and I said, I want to go see this new Jurassic Park. She's like, really? And I said, listen, I know it's going to be dumb because all but the first one have been dumb.
correct.
However, I'm kind of in on the franchise now, so I feel like I need to stay caught up. It's just kind of my duty as somebody who has seen them all. And she goes, oh, because I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Like the new ones of Chris Pratt. I mean, that's relatively recent. That
I haven't
kind of
seen any. None. I was floored. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's irresponsible. As a human, I feel like. But that's, I mean, none?
I don't know how to respond to that.
Now I got to question her parenting. Rick and Mega could be in trouble here. Corey W. tweets in the original Fast and Furious. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll get to a break. Before we do that, I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health, if you are feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. It could be low testosterone, could be a lack of peptides, could be a lot of different things. Maybe you just want to lose some weight. They can help you with all of this at Game Day Men's Health. You go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now, sign up for the free consultation. After you that, you get the free PSA test, free testosterone test. They'll give you a baseline where your health is right now and say, these are the ways we can help you. And if they can't, they'll tell you that also. But there are multiple programs that could help you out, like the peptides that your body discontinues making over time, or maybe a weight loss program. You can save 10% on any of those. Game Day Men's Health by mentioning Mac and Cube in the morning. Locker room environment, low stress, not going to try to press you into things that you don't need. Holistic approach to health and wellness right there at Game Day Men's Health. All you have to do is go down and sign up for that free consultation. Minimal upfront cost for the programs they offer. That separates them from a lot of other folks in town. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Go sign up and take advantage of that free consultation today. Back to more CC, and I guess because the tweets are still coming in, movie talk next on Jox. Off party coming up here before long. You have a chance to interact with us. Damian, tell the listeners how they can do it.
Yeah, celebrate the kickoff to college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox kickoff party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. To win a pair of tickets for you and a guest, text the keyword is Tigers and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. For more information, visit joxfm.com.
Damien, have you seen any of the Jurassic Park movies?
Yeah.
I don't care which one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
They're all, like I said, after the first one, they're all dumb.
Yeah.
But it's somewhat of a guilty pleasure, I guess. And But is there a movie, because we actually did just get a couple more of that movie, the original, if it were back in theaters, that would make them go see it. Is there a movie for you that if it were back in theaters, you'd have to go see it?
Ooh. Probably because the impact now, Black Panther.
And if you would have said anything Power Rangers, we would have excluded you from the rest of the conversation. Just know you would have been done.
It's probably in top 5, though.
No. John from Florence says Saving Private Ryan. I think that's one that's easily, you would say, that was kind of made for that. But he also says original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Maybe a tough watch now if you didn't grow up with it.
You want to talk about the special effects not holding up? Smokey and the Bandit comes in from Cameron Jordan.
Defensive end for the Saints?
I don't know if that, I need to see that, in theaters. But okay. I mean, listen, some. Michael Kirby tweets in aliens. Now, there's a big difference between alien and aliens, correct?
Yes. One's singular, one's
I
plural.
don't think I've sat through any of the full ones. Also, some of these.
They're getting a little ridiculous.
Well, I don't want to say it's ridiculous, but it's just, I mean, people, I don't think that just because it's your favorite movie is not really what we meant by going like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like, I don't view that as one that needs to be in theaters. Oh, Fry tweets in Casino. Like, great movie, but there was no part of that movie that I said, God, if I just had the Dolby surround sound on that.
I need that Atmos.
If I could get that one in 4K. Now, Braveheart, who cares, 1867 tweets in, I could see why you would go there.
Yeah.
Cons tweets in, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Lucky for me, back in theaters in 2 weeks. Which one?
The only one that's worth seeing, the first one. Which I have seen re-released twice since I've worked at Jox.
You're telling me that the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
The 1991, yeah.
in which Vanilla Ice made a cameo, that's the second one?
The second one.
Is about to be released in theaters again for the third time?
More than third. This is the
Fourth was the original time it came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
At least, if not more. 35th. Again, those milestones, like, again, this one, at least it makes sense. Again, that movie came out in 1990, 35. Okay, fine. Like, that at least makes sense with the milestone. The Batman 89 and Batman Returns 92, like, you're just doing it to do it.
That movie wasn't that good.
Okay, well, you have no taste. That's fine.
I guess Casino is coming back. Wall tweets in, says it's coming back in a few weeks. I'm there. To the Alamo?
I thought we were getting one of those, but they changed their minds.
Matt Graham goes Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I could see where those would fall into that category. But there's just a couple of, like Goonies. I don't know if I need to go see it in the theater. Interstellar, I could see why people would say that. Nick retweeting that in.
Yeah.
I could see why that would be one where, all right, theater, this is going to up the ante. This is going to make the experience that much better. Like Matrix, Sons of the South tweets in Rambo First Blood.
Yeah.
Not the remake, but the OG.
OG.
If you could give that like a little bit of the Jefferson Pilot now in HD treatment, probably. Yeah,
that might be, yeah.
Yeah, I might hit that one. Give us yours, 800-239-9569. You can text into the show, 205-834-9450. Rod tweets in Jaws, Star Wars, Saving Private Ryan. I just don't know if Jaws is it's a little too dated for me.
Yeah, like you said, the graphics and the special effects are a little different now.
Probably still better than any of the Meg movies. But
you take CGI a little too far.
Just a smidge.
It's a smidge.
Tommy Wyndham tweets in Scarface. I mean, once again, just because it's your favorite movie doesn't mean like the in theaters makes you go back to see it. I don't know if that really is applicable there. Like J.A. tweets in Days of Thunder. It's got some action scenes. I could see like, get in the car, Kyle. I could see why that would make you maybe want to go back. Walt is in Birmingham, wants to chime in. Welcome into the show, Walt.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
I think I need to get this old tweeter thing because it seems to be the only way to get in touch with y'all unless I call in, which y'all are accommodating enough to let me in. But, yeah, never had Twitter, but it seems like most people are contributing that way.
It's easier for us to get to, honestly, and just I can read 4 or 5 in a row, and I can skip the dumb ones, which I can't do on the phones always.
Exactly. Fair enough. Well, has nobody said Avatar yet? Because I think that's the one movie I would go back and watch.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's actually I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite movies, but that's one that feels like it's made for that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the 3D part of it.
I think it's the highest grossing film of all time, so yeah.
That probably qualifies it then.
Yeah.
But that was made for the movie theater
Correct.
experience.
Oh, 1000%.
It just was. That's one that I can recall hearing about the movie when it came out. I had no interest in what it was about. It's just what it was going to look like, how it was going to appear to be. And then I think, too, sort of the premise of it and then how you were watching it all just sort of went together. So, yeah, that would easily be one.
New one comes out in December.
Is this the second one or the third one?
Third.
I have no idea what the second one was.
Something about water.
Really?
Yeah. It was in the title.
So is the ride at Animal Kingdom. You get splashed with water in that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody texted in Django.
Okay, that's a fun movie, but
You're right. Like,
perfectly fine to watch that at home.
I mean, there are movies that I don't need to see Anchorman in theaters. I can watch that on like I can watch that on my iPad.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
But
It doesn't change the experience for
But
me.
something like that, I do think would be fun to re-release it and go see that with a group
With
of
other
fans
people.
or a half
that
or
part makes sense.
full. Like that would be fun.
yeah.
Okay. I see that part of that discussion. One who does not like most people in general,
Correct.
probably don't really need that in my life. Jolly, the original Top Gun. These are my memories of the original Top Gun. Most of the flight scenes that had scenes of airplanes were very quick and very bad camera angles. And I don't know if that's just the only thing they could get, because if you go back to this remake, I remember like the Air Force and the military were a major part of like helping them make that movie. So therefore the scenes were much clearer, much longer. You could actually make out what was happening. I just remember the original Top Gun thinking, I didn't know what I just saw there. Like it was so fast and just, okay, he buzzed the tower like that. That's one. But I'm talking like in the air. That's me though. So I don't know if the theater makes that much difference there.
It felt a bit stock footage.
Just kind of chopped it up a little bit.
Maybe.
Like, ooh, put that in there. Big Sexy tweets in the original Jumanji. Okay.
It was fun back then.
Yeah.
Got it. It's just kind of not for me, the whole thing, but I get it. If that's your deal, I'm not really into it, but okay. I'm not mad at it. So that was the question. Movies that would immediately make you go back and see them in the theater. Do we have any texts coming in?
Yeah, we do.
On movies people would have to go see if they're back in the theater?
Somebody texted in the program.
You have to. And here's why. I'm going to tell you why. Because the scene in which Joe Kane was laying in the middle of the road,
Right.
reading the newspaper,
Yeah.
was quickly taken out of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because some kid somewhere, I want to say Texas, could be wrong, decided to go out and do it and did not make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they took it out. So I feel like you'd have to go back in theaters to see that part of the movie, since that scene has never been released. But certain people got to see it in the theaters. So there, it does make sense.
Yeah, somebody texted in Pulp Fiction.
Great movie, but theater changes it for you?
I don't even think would change it that much with an audience. Like, yeah, they're funny bits, but it's not a funny movie.
Right.
Like Eddie Murphy Raw. Don't need to see it in the theater.
Right.
Just as funny watching on my phone.
The location doesn't change.
Rod tweets in, Jaws affected me more than any movie ever. I would not get a body of water for 3 or 4 years as a kid. He said add 300 to the list.
Oh, yeah, 300. Well,
That's just.
I can watch that anywhere, though.
That's almost the only reason you go see that, though, is because it's not really a great film. It's just great action scenes.
Somebody texted, the real Sam, he texted in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was too young to I missed out.
Block him from the show.
I missed it. I was too young, but yes, it's a movie I can watch any day of the week.
I wouldn't exactly call it missing it, but okay.
Man, whatever.
Godfather Soul tweets in Snakes on a Plane. Terrible movie, but fun for theaters.
Yeah. That was Sharknado before Sharknado, because that was one of the early things that blew up on social media. Oh, we got to go see this. We got to go see this.
Yeah.
People saw it, it's like, well, what the hell did I just see?
It's a Samuel L. Jackson effect. Like, you saw his name, it's like, it's got to be amazing. Which, I mean, it was good.
Yeah, they cater to a certain audience with that. Yeah. The bathroom scene.
Duke of Northport has it figured out. He tweets in Predator. Would be awesome in modern day theater. I agree. It's probably the one that makes this argument. O'Neill tweets in Hot Shots Part 2. I'm not sure any screen I need to see that again. Do. I don't think that there is a screen in which I need to see that again.
Naked Guns in theaters now. Go see that.
That can't be good, can it?
So you've heard.
You saw it?
So,
I haven't. I mean, I was out of town.
Okay.
I'm planning on seeing it this week, but.
So you've heard.
So I've heard. It actually is.
I would love to say I'll be the judge of that, but it's highly doubtful that I'll be the judge of that.
But I also feel like it's one of those, like, if I wait until it's at home and then watch it by myself, it might be okay. But if I go see it now with a crowded theater, all right. I think that's one of those experience ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Culture Guy 61 says The Water Boy.
I can imagine it was pretty entertaining in theaters.
Also entertaining
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've enjoyed it on
on your
television.
55-inch TV at home.
It's Happy Gilmore with an accent and playing football.
Don't do that.
It's Adam Sandler.
Don't do that.
You want to talk about?
It's a totally different premise.
We talked Denzel was typecast
Totally
later in
different
life.
premise.
Tom Hanks plays the same person.
Totally different
George
premise.
Clooney plays the same, or he does the same thing. He looks down and just kind of smiles and shakes his head. Like that's all George Clooney does.
It's not like Happy Gilmore was working at the driving range and then they found him and put him on the golf team. It's totally different.
Oh, okay.
One guy helping team out has to fill in. Other guy accidentally finds a whole sport. It's not even close.
Boucher didn't accidentally.
Was there a
find it,
one-handed friend that helped him in Waterboy? No.
No.
Totally different. Totally different. Did he have the one rival in Waterboy like he did in Happy Gilmore? Totally different. I don't even know where you're going with that.
Okay.
300 in IMAX, says Eric Crow.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Wasn't that in IMAX, though?
I didn't see it in theaters. I don't know.
I didn't see it.
I saw it at
Actually, I think
home.
I did see it in theaters. I can't remember. All right. Anything else being texted in? Anything different than we haven't heard?
We've got Training Day.
It's a great movie. If it was in the theaters, I don't think I would immediately say I have to go see that.
The Crow.
Not for me, no. John? I mean,
It
Brandon
was-
Lee
It was fine.
died making it, so
Yeah,
is that
it
like
was
give it
fine.
more intrigue? I don't know.
It was fine. I'm not a major fan, but
Here are two interesting ones. Bama Black says the original King Kong. Like the one that looks like
30s.
Charlie Chaplin? That one?
Oh,
with the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, like playing
Right,
like with
like-
no sound,
Actually,
like
I
just
think,
music.
I think the theater might worsen that one. Because also somebody tweeted in the Godzilla movies, to which I need to know once
Which
again
one?
Gotta be specific.
if they're like the original, where you can see the strings that the moth is hanging off of. I'd probably say no.
Power Rangers was looking down on that special effects.
Hey.
Okay. A lot of you tweeting in, a lot of them, like Saving Private Ryan, we hit that one for sure. That was one that we said easily would be one that you would want to see in movies again or in theaters again. Anything else, Damien, as we close out the Twitter feed on this madness? Oh, boy.
12 Years a Slave.
Like I said, as we move away from the text line and get back into college football, there's some injury news around the Southeastern Conference. Still haven't heard from Hugh Freeze this hour. We'll do that next on Jox. Jason Caldwell coming up on the show in 15 minutes. He'll give us updates on Auburn's practice from over the weekend. We'll hear as well. Before we hear from you, Auburn head football coach, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you're looking for products to give you a better night's rest, maybe get rid of some of that arthritis for you or your pet, your CBD store has helped a couple of pets in my household over the years as well with arthritis. They are products that can help your pets with that or skincare or gut health. Products for you for better focus throughout the course of the day, waking up feeling refreshed throughout the course of the day. They can help you with all of these at your CBD store. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. Also, the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, Trustful just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. A little bit of sort of injury news coming out of Auburn with Hugh Freeze updating his running back room. Did that after Saturday's practice.
Darrell had some explosive runs. Alvin, is there still a learning curve for him for sure? But I tell you, the one that's flashing is Omar. He is that pad level he has, and he's patient, and he's going to finish moving forward, it seems, in the reps we have. We haven't gone live yet, but we're in thud, and they're thudding him pretty good, and he's finishing runs. So I would say he's been the most surprising. So our confidence level is growing with all those that whole group.
You know, it's a room that we haven't spent a lot of time talking about this offseason. We've kind of felt like, it'll be okay. It's not one that maybe is going to be overly dynamic, but should be okay. Omar Mabson, the freshman that he's discussing there. Damari Alston saying a little bit of a heel issue. He would also go on to say that Jeremiah Cobb kind of a little bit banged up, but not going to be something that he feels like is going to go long term. But I think the real news there is that Mabson flashing and maybe can be somebody who helps. Now, they're not even in full pads yet, but he offset that by saying, that their thud periods have been a little bit more physical maybe than usual. So maybe he's somebody that can break into the lineup, can help a little bit. Because running back, kind of like what we talked about with linebacker, a lot of those guys are going to be on special teams and a lot of your different special teams. So you're going to need some depth there to be able to help and be able to offset that. Hugh Freeze also just kind of discussing his thoughts after that Saturday practice.
Yeah, I thought it was really good work, and the humidity was up. I mean, it tested us for sure, and thought legs looked a little heavy, but that's to be expected probably in day 4. They've lost so much fluid in the first few days with the humidity and heat, but I thought they pushed through it, and obviously without watching the film, it's hard to say, but it looked like there was quite a bit of explosive plays on offense at times and quite a few negative plays that the defense caused. So watch the film and see, but I really thought it was really good work from the start to finish. I thought the specialist field goal unit was obviously didn't have a rush, but they were going through the upright with all the kickers, and I think we only missed one all day. And good work for the special teams also. So good day.
Get him through the upright without a rush. That's good.
Only missed one.
That's the update I need. Are the kicks getting through the uprights? I do think, though, what you like to hear there, explosive plays being hit. You want some of those, and they posted one catch of Eric Singleton in the end zone, which I kind of wanted to get Damien's thoughts on that one. First off, I'll ask this. What do we think of schools posting like one highlight of a guy? Are you not also doing yourself a disservice when you do that? Because like my thoughts on, if you go find this Auburn highlight, it's Eric Singleton like in the corner of the end zone. He comes in, like he makes a little bit of a move, and then he goes off to the corner, and the separation from the DB for like the last 5 yards of the route is stupid. The fact that he's able to do that. But are you not also, when you post things like this, saying, look, our DB just got fried? Like, we appreciate the fact that our quarterback made a good throw and our receiver ran a great route, got open and made a touchdown reception, but that's also against you. Like LSU posted a bunch of highlights over the weekend. Like, you get a sack on the quarterback. That's great, but that's also your tackle. that just gave up said sack. So the fans of these schools get really excited about these highlights. Like, oh, running back runs over linebacker. That's also your linebacker.
Linebacker got ran over. That should be the headline.
But we only look at the positives in these.
We only look at the offense.
That's maybe fair. But he said right there, disruption. He had a couple negative plays. I mean, listen, we've told you Eric Singleton's going to be great. And I wouldn't expect any DBs in the country to be able to lock him down. So it's not saying that Auburn's secondary is all of a sudden not going to be good because he gets by a guy and catches the touchdown. But I do think as fans of individual schools, when they selectively release some of these clips, these highlights of certain guys, it's still against you. Your guy still gave that up.
DeBoer said it earlier. In plays like this, there's a winner and a loser. And we just think about the winners. We don't have to think about the losers, but someone has to lose in this. And the question is, with someone out there, hey, man, we can take advantage of this.
Damien, did you see the route I'm talking about?
With Eric Singleton?
Correct.
Yes.
Is my assessment fair of like the last 4 or 5 yards of that route, the way he pulls away from the DB? That's pretty next level.
Yeah, those are the discussions that y'all been trying to tell people about Eric Singleton pretty much all spring and all summer long. I think y'all need to know who this guy is.
Now he gives him a little shake at the top of the route, like,
and
the DB kind of falls for it. So it's not like just both full speed running away, but I mean he also has the ability to make that happen.
Yeah, and also great hands too. Showed him late, and he caught like the tail end of the football. So
yeah, he's not just a track guy. He's got legitimate hands he can catch. But I just.
But I'm with you too. Like if I'm a fan, it's well, dang. Like what's our corners looking like? Like what's our secondary gonna look like?
Oh.
Well, the question is how many fans are actually thinking about that. Most of them just see that as like, oh, cool. Finally, we finally have someone to throw to this great receiver. Like we've had good receivers the last little bit. Cool.
Then on the opposite end, it's okay. Well,
because I don't think fans are. But then again, fans are like, well, we won't face people like that. We're fine.
So is it worth putting this out?
Yes, because
like you get enough hype from this. You get enough social media run from this. This has 108 retweets.
It's great.
89,000 views.
PR. Like it's great. Like, hey, we tried to tell you. And again, like you got to think about that's the name that a lot of people when coming into the season or coming into the spring, it was, hey, this is going to be a big get for Auburn. This is a great get for Auburn. Now you see it. But also, again, the other side of that is, well, how good is the DB that was going against him too? So you kind of look at the number, like, okay, who's that guy on the depth chart? Like,
because would you not agree, Damien, that in practice, not that you ever paid attention to what was happening at the line of scrimmage, but receivers and DBs get more one-on-one work during the course of one practice than any other position?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's not like anybody can really get hurt. You're not touching each other, so. Let them go at it.
There's some hand checking.
It gets a little physical out there.
Like a little hand fighting. That's about it.
Some slaps going across.
Yeah,
occasionally.
Depends on how physical
a push
the
off.
is.
You get a push off every now and then. A jersey tug.
Defensive back. Yeah, absolutely.
Jersey tug.
Mostly safeties.
All right. Well, I guess you also tagged him, and so that pumps his ego a little bit. Like, hey, we're trying to help you. We're marketing you.
But also, again, everybody looks like an All-American at practice.
We're talking about practice.
Yeah, we talking about not a game. Now he does this against Baylor. Oh yeah, like everybody's excited, but it's also, I mean, everybody can cut up the practice tapes. Like, oh man, I got you on play 60.
I will say this too, and this may have had happened before, and I just didn't notice it. You notice the pants Eric Singleton's wearing in that video?
No, I hadn't.
Navy with the orange and white stripe.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying they're now out there. If you wanted a blue out.
Just got to go to practice.
It's something that I noticed. Also noticed Eric Singleton has not earned his AU logos in practice yet. So he hadn't made many of these plays, obviously, or else he would have earned his stickers on his helmet.
Does he have his Guardian cap? Has he earned the Guardian cap? That's the question. No, that's a Georgia thing. My apologies.
That's not.
My apologies.
I don't know if Auburn even does them. So.
Okay. Still good football being played over there. We ain't got time for all that.
Still tough. Still tough.
I'll give Auburn kudos for not putting that in slow-mo. Like most of the hype
the
videos
very
or
end
the
of
things
it
that people release.
There's a part of it that's kind of slowed down.
A little, but
the catch.
So I was with some of my buddies this weekend, and like we were having a conversation, and I pulled out, "You'll pass out before you die."
You will.
Like, it has been stuck in my head since Friday. You'll pass out before you die.
I don't know which is better, that or get a pump like 3 minutes and 15 seconds before kickoff. Get a bump.
It's hilarious.
Those D linemen need to know.
And Alan Fanica's like, that's why we got more guys.
Why
like
can't we do this?
It's a Hall of Famer.
Cubelic, look at this guy coming off the ball. Why can't I just get you to? It's not for me to answer. I cannot do that. Not for me. Champ Bailey played 86 plays. And y'all, what are we doing? With a lot more expletives in there, by the way. Just a few more. Jason Caldwell gives us update on that Auburn defense this weekend next on Jox. Oh, Coach Hughes tweets in footage of Auburn practice with Guardian caps. Not different colors, though. Not different colors.
Yet.
So to use them, don't use them, different colors. It does not. To use them, don't use them, different colors. It does not. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. It doesn't bother me unless it does Greg. Greg can't handle it. But either way, unless it does Greg. Greg can't handle it. But either way, they're a part of it. Auburn practice from over the weekend. Jason Caldwell of Inside the Auburn Tigers joining us now on Higginbotham Hotline. I didn't hear a ton about other quarterbacks or quarterback battle. I mean, is there a race for number 2? Like, what does the quarterback room look like if it is just Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of race there. Obviously, things can change if you start getting into some scrimmage situations and either he doesn't perform well or somebody else performs extremely well. But I'd say early on, they've like, hey, we're going to give you time and all. A fresh transferring maybe have to start. If you were to lose of the game because of that situation.
You mentioned because of the game. When do you view elite or great offense?
About it like in terms have Saquon kind of spot position now. Offensive line, I think, is going to be better. I think they're going to be able to run the football, but I don't know that you're going to have one guy that you go, man, we're going to give that guy 18, 19 carries a game and the average is over 100 yards. I think it's probably going to be a little bit situational stuff too when you bring in a Darrell Robinson from UConn who's looked pretty good here early in camp after you're not seeing him in the spring. You know, Damari Alston gets his shot, Jeremiah Cobb, and then a couple of true freshmen that early on look like they have some, at least some things to them. So going to be a deeper group for sure.
All right, so we're talking about some of the highlights that the school put out. And one thing that we forget when highlights are put out is that one guy looks great, but you're also beating your guy. We know the receivers are going to be good. Secondary is a concern for some folks. Other folks say it might be a strength. Where are you on Auburn's secondary? Just a short time through fall practice so far.
Yeah, no, I think when you talk Kayan Lee, Jay Crawford, Rayon Strader, and then I think Caleb Harris, Sylvester Smith, some of those older guys, I think it's a strength, to be quite honest. You look at especially Kayan Lee and Jay Crawford outside at corner. I know those guys had a really good day. And so you start talking about matchup situations, and that's always the key. You put, Eric Singleton inside and go against the third guy or a safety, and you're going to have some wins in those situations. And so, but I think especially those two guys outside that were starters last year, I think they're pretty good. And so, obviously it depends on how much pass rush you get. Nobody can do it against these guys and win if you don't get some help up front. But I do think this group is, I think they're going to have a chance to be pretty good.
When you look at the rest of the defense, Freeze made a comment that there were some disruptive plays, some TFLs, and that's great. You want to hear some of those guys are stepping up. Is the D-line the strength? Does it have to be the strength of this defense?
I think edge probably needs to be a strength of this defense, not necessarily. The interior, they had a pretty good defense last year, and you don't really remember anybody's name out of that group. They just kind of all did their job. I think you could be the same way again this year, where you look at Malik Blockton and Bobby James and Travis, and then some of these transfers, and then your big young guys and Jordan Crawford and Malik Autry. They've got numbers, and so you can rotate those guys. And if you can just hold your own in the middle and allow Keldrick Falk and Amaris Williams, that's the guy that came in with so much fanfare last year. And I think in year two, I think he's a guy that's ready to take a step. You've got some guys that have a chance to create some havoc from those spots. I don't know this. It has to be a strength, but it just can't be a weakness. And that'll be the thing for me in the middle. That's probably the spots I'm looking at the most are interior defensive line. And then those inside linebacker spots are probably the two questions I have, not from numbers and talent, but just can you find somebody to step up and kind of be a dog at one of those spots?
We're visiting with Jason Caldwell of Inside the Auburn Tigers. He covers Auburn football. So the comfort level with Jackson Arnold, we've had some conversation with what Hugh said at SEC Media Days about how he alters the defense in practice, building his confidence. That's got to be number one of, is he just comfortable letting go of the football? Because last year he wasn't. Is there any indication of how that may have changed thus far while Jackson Arnold's been at Auburn?
Yeah, I do think you have to put a little bit with it too. It's hard to be comfortable letting go of the football when you don't have anybody to throw to. And that makes it really hard. And that was a lot of the situation in Oklahoma last year. You get sacked a bunch and all your receivers go down, and it's hard to turn it loose sometimes. And I think he's more comfortable. I thought one of his strengths in the spring was his anticipation of throws, and I thought Peyton Thorne was a warrior, but I didn't think there was a whole lot of anticipation for him in the pocket, and I think that's something that we saw more of from Jackson Arnold in the spring, and I think that's going to be one of the things to watch for, because I do think there's going to be guys open. You're going to have opportunities to win in one-on-one situations, but can you anticipate those throws and do those things? And Freeze clarified a little bit about kind of taking it easy on Jackson Arnold, and I think we saw some of that the other day. It's not that they're not blitzing and they're not sending stuff, but I think they're going like, look, we're not game planning on offense in day 3 of fall camp, so don't send something that we're not prepared for, because you don't have any chance to win. And I think that's kind of what they've been talking about a little bit more is, look, make sure we're doing things to help both sides of the ball. And so they did a lot of blitz work, a lot of blitz packages the other day on Saturday. And so I think they're preparing them for those things, but I think they're also trying to, hey, let's make sure we have a chance to succeed on some of these things we're doing as well.
Jason Caldwell with us on the Higginbotham hotline. We had a conversation the day that practice began of what you needed to hear about or what needed to be confirmed for you from a source that you would trust about Auburn in fall camp that would give you the most confidence. Quarterback was obviously the most popular answer. I actually went offensive line. And not that I don't think it can be good, but I need to hear that it's going to be as good as we believe it can be, maybe better. And if I hear that, then I think everything else has a much better chance of working itself out. I would be interested to get your answer to that question, and then also, what are the early thoughts on Auburn's offensive line so far?
Yeah, for me, but I think it all hinges on Xavier Chaplin, because can we know enough about the other guys? Hey, they were pretty solid. Mason Murphy was pretty good in the spring, and I think as a right tackle, I think that you can win there, or with Too Tall or Mason Murphy. To me, it all hinges, because if you have an elite left tackle, then to me, everything else on an offensive line almost falls into place. Now, you got to keep Connor Lew healthy, because he's really, really good. But, to me, if Xavier Chaplin is what you think he can be and what NFL scouts think he can be, which is a potential, like, top 50 kind of guy, then I think it everything else maybe takes care of itself a little bit. And so there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, it's a long time since I was able to sit the other day and counted 18 offensive linemen for an Auburn football team. And you go, the young guys, the second team guys look the part. That hasn't happened in a long, long time at Auburn. And so just from a standpoint of giving you pieces now to win on the offensive line, I think they're in better shape than they've been probably since 2017 in that regard. Can you take it to the next level and go and win those things now? I think that's what you're looking for. And I think, like I said, I think Xavier Chaplin, left tackle, if that spot is there, then I think everything else kind of take care of itself a little bit. It's
interesting, Jason, because I don't know if you've gone back and taken a look at it, because I've had so many people ask me that. They're like, well, best group since when? And I initially went 13, and then I thought, well, maybe 17 would have been okay also. But I mean, I think you have to at least go back to 17 if you're talking about where this group has a chance to be as good as. We haven't seen anything like it since then.
Yeah, no question. And even 17, early in the season, that group wasn't that, because that was the time they went to Clemson and gave up like a dozen sacks in a loss up there. So even then, it took that group to the end of the season to kind of find their rhythm in the run game especially. And so, I don't think there's anything close to that. 19 had its moments, but I don't think there's anything else even close, in my opinion. You got to go back to at least 2017, and you're talking about 6 guys that are on maybe NFL radar at the moment, and there haven't been a whole lot of offensive linemen, period, over the course of the last decade that have been on NFL radars total, much less that many in one team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jason, great stuff, man. Thanks for checking in. Just wanted to get some updates around Auburn camp, what you saw, what you're thinking. We'll have you back soon.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
So that's Jason Caldwell of Inside the Auburn Tigers discussing kind of what he has seen through practice thus far. It is interesting that Xavier Chaplin, a guy that he brings up, because there are a lot of folks, once again, or these portal graphics or whatever it is, like he's the guy that people would point to. But I've said all along, Mason Murphy, the better player. When you go back and watch them both last year, Mason Murphy's the one that you have more confidence in just what he's capable of doing. He's smoother. He's got better feet. Tyler Johnson's running some tight end. You saw a photograph of him catching a football over the weekend, but I think could still slide down and help you tackle if need to. Plus, Dylan Wade could kick back out to left tackle if he had to, if that was necessary. That true depth with that group is what's going to be the most valuable. You hope you don't need it, but let's be honest, you just will. At some point in time, you're going to need it. And I think Auburn has a little bit more of that, like Jason was saying. There's more guys in the 2 deep that you look at and say, you'll be fine having him in the game, or you're going to benefit from having him in the game. We haven't said that about an Auburn offensive line in a long time, a very long time. And I just think if that group works itself out, Connor Lew, Dylan Wade keep doing the things they've done for a long time, Jeremiah Wright, maybe more healthy, in better shape, do the things that he does with Murphy, Chaplin there, but then also having Miller, maybe Johnson at tackle to be able to help some. Everything else falls into place. You don't have to have the highlights of the receivers being thrown out. You don't have to have a running back be special. You don't need a dominant tight end, because I think it just opens up everything for this offense. It allows the RPO game to get going. It allows you to be able to close out games. Think about, we talked about the close games Auburn was in last year and couldn't run the football to close them out. Had issues, whether it were decision-making through quarterback with running the football, whether it was decisions made in short yard situations, not being able to run the ball then. When you think about Georgia, you think about Oklahoma being able to stay in, get in late, or close games out and find a way to win them late. Couldn't do it. But if that group's going, then I think that helps all that. And a quarterback with better legs than you had last year could also help that. Not saying it's going to be, 15, 17 design carries a game. It doesn't have to be that. But he can legitimately break you down. I mean, Jackson Arnold can legitimately break a defense down with his legs. Now, you need him healthy, so you don't want him to live there. And he's got a little gusto. He'll try to add some physicality to those runs. You don't need him doing that. It's not worth it. You got to coach that out of him. But he can be a weapon there. And when you add that to the potential of an offensive line being able to actually be the reason you're running the ball and not just a great back or because of what other people can do, you're running the ball, then all of a sudden things change, and things change in a hurry. So Hugh Freeze, I mentioned that defensive line, and thinking about what they might be and what they're capable of. Hugh Freeze discussed some of the young defensive linemen and what he thought of them after practice on Saturday.
The young guys, obviously we all know about Keldrick and Kieran and some of those, but I mean, Malik Blockton was just a freshman, but man, he's disruptive. And I think these two young ones, Autry's getting better and better, Crawford's getting better. Bobby obviously has a deal with his daughter he's missed, but he's back now. And I think there's some disruptive guys that can help us. We've got to give them the buy-in to their role. And, the days of a D lineman, interior D lineman playing 60 snaps a game just shouldn't happen. And we've got to get them to buy in to like the Jay Hardys and those guys that came in, Dallas Walker and Darion and Z's had a good camp so far. So I know I'm leaving some people out, but man, I think all those guys, James Ash, once he learns what to do, he is heavy-handed. So I like the depth in there, just buying to giving us fanatical effort on your given plays.
So Hugh Freeze on that defensive line and kind of what he liked about it and what he saw from them. And there are a couple of young names he throws in there that if they can help, if they can get you 8 to 15 snaps a game, maybe that all of a sudden they come out and they can be relied upon or even can be playmakers. It changes the depth of that group and what you're going to be capable of, maybe not only later in the season when it'll be even more important. So there's a lot to get to with Auburn, kind of what they did over the weekend. We still got a little bit more from Kalen DeBoer and Kane Wom. We want to talk Alabama defense when we come back next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I have an interesting rank DC also. Some news coming out of Fayetteville over the weekend. The Arkansas strength coach met the media, which I will say, I'm not sure I've seen that happen before. How many strength coaches are doing interviews for the season? At any level of football? Well, Joey really got his hand cleaned up this offseason. We were a fan of that. Billy got the speed up, doing great on the laser time 10-yard split. We got Earl on a creatine budget, and he's really feeling the effects of that.
Creatine budget.
Jonte really upped the fluids and cut his diet, and we're seeing him add some lean muscle. Flexibility was a big concern for Omar, but he's got that intact now. We're really looking forward to big things from him. I just think it's amazing that you're letting that happen. But apparently it was leaked that Taylon Green, not KJ Jefferson, because we wish he was coming back. Taylon Green was a little more dinged up than a lot of people thought last year. So if that's the case and he was playing at 65, 75%, could we see an even better Taylon Green than we thought possible going into this year two of Bobby Petrino? I'll say this about Taylon Green. I think he's awesome. It all depends on the cast. I don't know what to make of his offensive line. I don't know what to make of his receivers. They got a tight end from, I think it's Montana State. I went and watched him. I love the kid. I think he's really good. I think he's fast. He's long. I think he's going to be able to help him. I just don't know what it's all going to look like together. There's so much new and so many unknown kids. We'll see. Drinkwitz saying that Missouri's going to scrimmage today, by the way, the old Monday scrimmage. And we'll have more news on their quarterback situation, what that appears to be after today. So we'll give you some insight on that tomorrow. Rashul Faison is going to be eligible for South Carolina, which is massive because what you don't want to happen is the running back that you've been banking on the entire offseason to be your starter not be eligible. And that was what Faison was expected to be. So if that were to be one that went down, not a good look. Snow College, Utah State, he's a good back. If you want to watch a running back that loves contact, watch this kid. He refuses to run out of bounds. So he's one that obviously is going to mean a lot to South Carolina. That one's going to be big. We mentioned Lagway not in a boot over the weekend. Tennessee's got some receiver depth problems. Matthews and Brazel both missing some time in practice so far. That's going to be a little bit of an issue to watch there. And also receiver injuries. Aaron Anderson for LSU, some knee inflammation in his left knee. They're saying he's going to be back later this week. That's a deep group, but he's also the most different receiver I think they have. Just because of what he can do from the shorter intermediate stuff, turn those into explosive plays, I think they have to have him to get to where some people think they're going to go. And I saw a couple people picking them to win a national championship over the weekend.
Really?
Okay.
Well, it's early, but all right.
I feel like you need to get those out yet. We can wait and see if like your best player goes down in camp. Like if Nussmeier tore an Achilles tomorrow, probably not your national title pick. But they're graphics. So we'll see. We mentioned Alabama's defense and what that's looking like. Kane Womack after practice on Saturday discussing the depth for this year's Crimson Tide defensive unit.
We've got positions where, I think we have multiple starters, for maybe one position or guys that we will rotate consistently. I don't know if I could put a number on it right now, but, a year ago, going into the Tennessee game when we had 5 guys that went down, we only played 6 guys for 5 positions, primarily when it mattered. And I think we could play significantly more than that.
Now, on top of that, Keon Sabb not full go in practice yet, so that's one that you'll keep an eye on because we've talked on this show just how good he was last year, how important he's going to be to Alabama's defense this year. Got to get him going, got to make sure he's going to be okay. Feels like he'll be fine, but just coming off the injury last year, not necessarily full speed just yet. But that depth, as you heard from Kane Womack, having to localize certain players for longer periods of time, not necessarily the best when you're having depth issues, and they did have those last year. Now, on the flip side of that, with who his defense going to be facing off against week 1, Kane Womack has faced Gus Malzahn before, and if you missed it in the offseason, Gus Malzahn is the Florida State offensive coordinator. Kane Womack discussed that challenge after practice on Saturday.
When you're preparing for an offensive coordinator that just took over a job, maybe a new quarterback, some new personnel things, you try to gather a whole picture, right? What did the quarterback do at his previous institution, right? And how was he used maybe under this staff or that staff, or what. I've known Gus since I was in the 8th grade. I mean, I played for him, and his the evolution of his offense and the things that he's done. What might he do based off of this personnel? And so, when you're looking at all those things, right, you're trying to kind of gauge what you anticipate they're going to be, and then at the same time, that you've got to have answers if they kind of go down this pathway or they go down that pathway. And so, naturally you're going to carry a pretty heavy catalog of defense, going into a game.
This is one of the challenges that Greg and I have mentioned a few times, and we'll go into it in further depth as the season gets closer. And that is what exactly you're going to get from this offense. Because there is this misconception that, Mike Norvell, he worked under Malzahn early in their career, so that they're not really that similar. They're not. I mean, Norvell is a little bit more downhill in the run game, much more pin and pull, gap scheme in the run game, not as reliant on quarterback run. I think his passing schemes are much more diverse than what Malzahn normally offers. So the question then becomes, what mesh of these two offenses do you get? What do these two offenses look like when they're sort of combined, and then the things that can come out of that? Because I think Norvell is great, and I think Gus does some great things. And you would imagine with Castellanos, the Gus quarterback run part is going to have a lot of emphasis. But how much of the run scheme will take over what Norvell wants to be with stretch play and some of the play action and things off of that? Maybe not as much in the RPO game. I don't know where tempo is going to be with this offense, how much that's going to be a part of it. Is it Norvell drawing up the plan and saying, here, Gus, you call it? We don't know exactly how it's going to work. So that is a big challenge for Alabama week 1, I will say. Now, if I'm picking this game, I think Alabama wins the game. But that's a part of it that we need to pay attention to, because there might not be a film that you can go back and watch and say, all right, this is what we prepare for. This is what things are going to look like. This is what it needs to be. They'll practice both. I mean, Kane knows he's got to get ready for all of it. But does that subtract a little bit of where the emphasis can be? And then what is sort of pushed together to create something somewhat new that may actually be a challenge as far as how that's defended and the presentation of it? That'll be the key. Because the plays are not going to be different than what they've seen, but the presentation of the plays will be very different. So Gus will have his plays run out of Norvell formations. Norvell will have Gus plays run out of his formations, vice versa. And then how do you react to that? How can you sort of make that your own, and what's that's going to look like once you get to that game? But the good news is it sounds like both teams are fairly healthy after a little over a week of practice, and that's where you want to be. Then to allow guys to start to separate, get extra reps, and find out who you're going to bank on for what once you get to week 1. That Alabama humidity is probably going to be brutal week 1. It's actually not brutal today. Got a little hint of fall this morning and late last night. Great. It was incredible. Keep your family comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a train. All right, a couple other things that we need to discuss. Go back to our discussion on some of those games early in the season and a list or a ranking that I may or may not have a problem with that I want all of us to give our opinions on. We'll do that next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:32. Right here on Jox. Listen online app. Just download that. Listen anywhere on the go. Also, tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill. You'll be able to hang out with the folks from Jox at the Jox kickoff party coming up here soon. Damien, tell our listeners how they can be a part of it.
Absolutely. Celebrate the kickoff to college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox kickoff party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. To win a pair of tickets for you and the guests, text the keyword Tigers and your full name to 205-834-9450 to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. For more information, visit joxfm.com.
All right, so sometimes we like lists. We like rankings just to go through them, kind of pick them apart, discuss them. Tom Fornelli, who is a part of the Cover 3 podcast, CBS Sports, tweets this out a few minutes ago. Football positions ranked.
Like just positions?
All of them?
Just the positions.
All right.
Well, he gives 16. So
Okay.
maybe some hybrid positions that he doesn't necessarily add in. But I'll go through the rankings, and then we'll discuss maybe how, why they should be somewhere else. Number 1 quarterback.
Of course.
No one going to debate that.
Right.
Just off the top of your head right now, where would you go next?
Receiver.
Okay. Dime a dozen.
Either, well, let me ask, is it broken down by like individual linemen? Like offensive line or not? Okay.
The offense, defensive linemen are both individualized. Yeah.
Okay. Then I would either say left tackle or defensive end.
I would have said defensive tackle. But I'm talking about if you get like a game changer game, like an Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
But if we're just going across the board, you might sway my opinion there. He goes tackle, number 2. Number 3, edge.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Defensive end, edge.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And number 4, Damien's still waiting for wide receiver, so that's where he's going to go. John, where would you go at 4 if it were quarterback, tackle, edge?
At that point, I'd probably go interior lineman, D tackle.
He goes corner.
Ooh.
What?
Then D tackle at 5.
Okay.
Then wide receiver at 6.
That's what they deserve to be.
Okay.
Then guard. Then safety. Then center at 9. Tight end at 10.
Still no running back?
Linebacker at 11.
What?
Oof.
Running back at 12. Then punter, fullback, long snapper, kicker.
The long snapper's ahead of the kicker?
That's wild.
That feels
You got to
a little-
get it to him, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but if that's the case, do you not have center ahead of quarterback?
You would think.
I mean, if that math computes, that's the way it would be. I think you could take offensive tackle, edge, D tackle. You could mix any of those up in almost any order, really and truly. I do think wide receiver has to be ahead of corner.
Yes.
Like if you asked anybody, are you taking a great wide receiver or a great corner? Like just because the way the rules are made, that receiver is going to get more wins that count for you than losses, I think. You got to go receiver ahead of corner. Now, we would all love to have a great corner too, but I just think where the game is, you have to go receiver right now.
Yes.
Tight end at 10.
That feels really low.
It's hard for me to sit here and say definitively tight end ahead of corner, tight end ahead of guard, center, or whatever, but with what you can do with that position,
Right.
even when they're not touching the football, forcing defenses to be, I think tight end has to be ahead of 10. It's got to be higher on the list.
Versatility, man.
I don't know where. Now, some of this depends on the kind of tight end we're talking about, but is it ahead of center, safety? I said this last week, and I think it resonated with everybody. Safeties, you either know them because they're great or you never hear about
Never
them.
hear about them.
Yeah.
A safety is either Ed Reed or a no-name. Or you know them because they miss tackles or get beat a lot. That's it. Like, there's no in-between with safeties, really.
Mm-hmm.
Center, kind of same way. Like, they're either kind of like Jason Kelsey folk heroes or they have bad snaps and you know them because of that. Otherwise, like Ryan Kelly was great in college. He's been great in the NFL. Who talks about him? Nobody.
No, not me.
Nobody mentions his name. Zero people mentioned it. Like when Pouncey was in Pittsburgh, he was incredible. No one, he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
No one talked about him. Zero. So it's kind of similar there. Safety, man, that's tough. Because then are you talking about? Like a box safety? Are you talking about more of a nickel that we need flexed out over the slot receiver that's going to cover more? You can't just say safety, quote fingers, anymore. Like there's so many different variations of that position. It's hard to just say that, which I do agree that's important, but ahead of tight end. I think the most intriguing position on this list of maybe where it should be, or is it where it should be, or should it be lower, is linebacker.
Right.
Because I think linebackers almost fallen into the safety category of you have so many different type of guys now. Like, do you have a guy that you can walk up on the edge of the line of scrimmage and can rush the passer? Is he just a downhill guy?
Right.
Do you have a guy who's like can really win in coverage? Because remember, Isaiah Simmons was going to change the NFL. Remember, guys, he lines up at safety. He can change the NFL. Yeah, has not changed anything about the NFL. Not a single thing has been changed because of that. So, and also I feel like we used to talk about the lifespan of running backs. We should maybe start talking about the lifespan of good linebackers. Like the Luke Kuechly days of playing for like 15 years and being really good, like that seems like it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Like it's like once you lose a micro step as a linebacker, like they don't have a lot of use for you anymore.
Yep.
And then you get these complete oddities like Alex Anzalone out of Florida, who's like still playing and still really good.
Yep.
Demario Davis, Arkansas State. Awesome career in the NFL, still playing. And who was talking about them coming out? But those are two lighter, sleeker, probably can help you in coverage type guys. So linebacker's a weird position right now, man. It's like a really weird position. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of other linebacker guys. It's like you're either good and you're there, or we kind of have no use for you. So what would be the biggest mover here? Receiver up for you from 6, Damian?
Yeah, because, I mean, it's hard to kind of at least I look at it from this perspective. A quarterback's best friend, of course, are offensive linemen that keep them upright, but also your receivers that make you look a lot better than you could actually be. Because of the fact that, hey, you may not be like the hardest thrower. You may not everybody has the Joe Milton arm, but by God, if you have receivers on the opposite end of them that are getting open, creating separation. And we have to, and the thing is about receivers, like we have to do everything without knowing we're getting the ball. Like we're setting up other guys knowing that, hey, we're not even in the progression of this route. But we also have to, I've tried to explain this to y'all. We are the most selfless position
That's
on the
not
football
true.
field.
But I will say this, and I hate that I'm going to do this. And I know where everyone's brain is immediately going to go, and I'm going to debunk that. Who's the best all-time quarterback in NFL history with average receivers?
TB12. Well,
who had maybe the greatest tight end of all time?
True.
If he's not the greatest, he's in the discussion. I mean, it's like him and what? Gates is in there, Gonzalez is in there, Winslow's in there.
Yeah.
Maybe Kelsey will be in there. Like he's in a group of 4 to 5, 6 at the most of arguably the best to ever do it. Okay. And for a short time, had at least as far as physical gifts is concerned, 1 or 2 of the greatest receivers of all time, because I'd probably put Megatron up there with Randy Moss as the most gifted receivers ever to play. So, he wasn't throwing to Damian his whole career. I mean, he still had some guys. But the reason I would move receiver up is, we kind of have fun with this. Oh, this doesn't matter. Give me the quarterback who had a great career with an average cast of characters. The closest I could probably give you would be Aaron Rodgers. Like very few times had a dominant wide receiver. Now, did have 2 that I think would probably be in the upper echelon of the league when they played. And I think Roethlisberger on the front end of his career was there, but he did have the best of Antonio Brown.
Yes. Yeah.
And Le'Veon Bell out of the backfield. And Heath Miller is a fringe Hall of Fame tight end. He had him also. So even then, I don't think he would fall into that category. Like Marino had Duper and Clayton, both great wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
We know who Elway had. we know, and Elway kind of did it for a while without some of the best. Like when he didn't have Sharp, like Vance Johnson, Rod Smith.
Right.
Not like great, but not terrible. Like Elway may be towards the front of the pack in this conversation.
Drew Brees.
That's what I was going to throw out there. He had some
better
maybe at the time, but
yeah. Like Marcus Colston isn't a Hall of Famer, but he was 4 picks away from being Mr. Irrelevant.
Is Jimmy Graham a Fringe Hall of Famer, though?
I don't think so.
Did he have one of the better backs out of the backfield for a pretty decent period of time?
I think he had a lot of very good receivers.
He's in the discussion. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
Did he get the tail end of Joe Horn?
I think he got a year or two, maybe.
But he's in the conversation.
Right.
They're just there. The reason that I would move receiver up is there are just not many quarterbacks that we can look at and say he definitively had average weapons, but had a Hall of Fame career. Like if you're going to be a great quarterback, you got to have somebody really good to throw to, if not multiple.
On the flip side of that, there was talk of Sam Darnold maybe being back. And who was he throwing to last year?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
He put a lot of guys back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to give
Kirk Cousins got paid because of him. Well,
too.
got paid again because of him.
And as much as I don't really rock with him, but Eli Manning, he never really had a bona fide guy. He had some
good players.
Good.
Yeah.
Like Plaxico Burress. And his better years were earlier on.
He would be in that category of not having
the best of them.
Great weapons.
Right.
Like collectively great weapons. Had a good running game the majority of his career.
Yes.
Had some pretty good tight ends rolling in there. I don't know if he had like a top 10 tight end ever, but had some good tight ends that played also.
Yeah.
But just above average wide receivers at times. They probably took more of the collective, we'll take 3 or 4 B-, B+ receivers as opposed to having an A++ guy. But that's why I would probably move receiver up there is no matter what, we got to have some dudes. And that's why I would move tight end up.
Yeah.
I know it depends on who your guy is, but if you can give me a tight end that's just not a liability in the run game or protection game, that can run some routes, catch balls, I can move them around and force you to have different personnel in the field, that's just so much more valuable than some of these other positions that he mentioned, in my opinion. Like specifically safety, even corner. Like I think the days of having Revis and like the ball doesn't even go over there, or having Dion and the ball doesn't even go over there, like who was the last guy that give me the third guy ever that we talked about that way. Who was it, Darryl Green? Like there's been maybe 3 guys in the history of football we talked about that way.
Right.
So therefore, I can't put corner at 4. I can't.
Right. Just don't be a liability out there. Like
just because the best are going to get beat.
Right. Just don't be a liability.
Like you're telling me if I had Megatron or Randy Moss and Revis is on him the whole game, would we just not throwing to Randy Moss? I promise we're throwing to Randy Moss. Now it's going to be down the field. It's not going to be a comeback route where he's got a chance to step in front of it and go take it for 6, but he's getting his chances down the field. I promise. So receivers got to be higher. I think tight ends got to be higher. I like D tackle at 5. Like I said, D tackle, edge. I'm telling you, it's really strange, but I'm almost at a period in my life where now, see, this is where people say, like, you saying you wouldn't take Dylan Stewart? But if you give me like a Derek Brown, if you said right now you can have Derek Brown or Dylan Stewart, I'm taking Derek Brown.
Derek Brown.
Oh, yeah. That's
if you're saying
no
you could have Quinnen Williams or like Harold Perkins versus Arkansas, I want Quinnen Williams.
Yeah.
Because that dude wrecks every play.
Yep.
Like he makes you second guess every single play, inside zone, outside zone, 5-step drop, 7-step drop, bootleg, all of it.
Yep.
Like that guy can wreck a damn jet sweep. If he shoots the A-gap quick enough, you're done. So I wonder if D tackle at 5 is not too low. Offensive tackle, I think we know. Like if you
gotta,
because that position can make any edge defender look like Harold Perkins for a game against Arkansas. You get a turnstile over there, you're in trouble in a hurry.
Yeah.
And that's also where I think maybe the interior offensive linemen and some of the contracts we've seen with them recently, the ball's getting out so quick now. A lot of your edge guys don't have the impact they used to could have had. You're just not sitting in the pocket for that long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they don't affect the game and they're not great and you don't love to have them, but just you get a guy that can get a little bit of a push and get his hands up and force the ball to be just 7 inches left or 6 inches right, that might change the game for you a little bit. I just thought it was interesting. And what disrespect to fullbacks at 14?
Kids these
the
days.
two that we have.
Kids these
Right, I was
days.
about to say.
Both of them.
Who are they?
Yeah, I actually thought like we're still counting that. But
I'm surprised. Are you surprised kickers is at the bottom? I mean, they impact the game as much as they do.
In all sincerity, ask this question for when we come back. Rank in order. Kicker, punter, snapper. Kicker, punter, snapper, holder. The longest holder. The longest special teams conversation in this show's history. Next on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We are discussing position rankings. I asked you during the break to these positions as follows: kicker, punter, long snapper, holder. That would be my order, 1 through 4. Kicker 1. First off, they also handle kickoff duties. If we're going to have roster spots, we're not going to have kickoff specialists anymore.
What?
This is not a real thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're paying for that. Punter next, because if my offense isn't good, they're on the field a lot. Long snapper, I feel like we can at least coach somebody up to do that. It might not be as good, but we can get it back there. And then holder. Because I also feel like we can coach anybody to do that. Greg would probably disagree and argue with that. Oh, yeah, there's such an art to just getting the laces away from the
Laces
ball.
away.
Well, then why are so many missed kicks have the laces away? Guys obviously can't do it all the time. So that would be my order. Kicker, punter, long snapper, holder. John?
I got kicker, holder, long snapper, punter.
You want a guy who touches the ball like 3 times a game as second most important here?
I have him second most important because the center, everything rides on him. He blinks and doesn't catch the ball. The whole thing is messed up. And then you got to get up and try to run it or do something. Whereas I feel like, and I don't mean to belittle long snapping or anything, but like you said, I feel like if your snapper went down, you could probably figure out a way to.
But also, even when the holder is perfect, things are screwed up often.
They are, yes. But
which tells me it might not be that important. If you do your job perfectly and we can still botch that play, we'll be all right. With a guy who maybe doesn't spin it on a perfect.
That's a great outlook. Like, so you said it out loud.
Just give me the crummy guy because even when you're perfect, we're still bad sometimes.
Very true. Because I still have the kicker higher, but I figure also with the punter, like as athletic as everybody is on the field, y'all can punt that. It's hard. I understand it's hard to kick a field goal. I know that. Like it's difficult for someone to get there and get the towing along.
Hey, I have punter at 2 now. Here's the other thing with punter and kicker, and this is why long snapper's ahead of holder. When was the last time a holder made a tackle?
McAfee did once, didn't he? Oh, he wasn't the holder. He was the actual kicker.
I could not tell you.
Greg did in his 2010, I guess.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm just saying, punters occasionally have to go there and make a tackle. Kickers have to go down on kickoff and make a play every now and then.
Well, they're there.
I mean,
some of them
just get in the way, fall. Long snapper,
they're usually the first one there.
They down the ball a lot.
That is true.
A lot of down punts. So we'll give them some credit there.
But the league has kind of made them like not untouchable. Like you can't block them no more.
It's fine.
But until you said that, I don't think I've ever seen a holder on a block kick get up and have to chase somebody.
No, I've never seen it. I've never seen that. So holder has to be last. Because at least there's some sort of physical element to kicker, punter, and long snapper. Downing balls and falling in front of people to potentially make tackles.
There's also a few long snappers that have laid the lumber on a few occasions.
Who was that?
Somebody from Iowa, because they punt the ball.
Well, we also had the punter for the Seahawks a couple of years ago that was all jacked up. That tried to actually hit people. I forget his name because he's a punter.
Right.
But
not worthy of remembering. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That's enough, though. That's enough. We ended the special teams conversation.
I drove everybody away from the show before that segment anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
It's okay. It was shorter than Niebuhr, so we were fine.
Yeah.
Shorter than Niebuhr's second answer, you mean?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. All right. Appreciate